chance to sit down in person with someone whom I greatly respect and look up to, someone I'm proud to call a friend, engineer, author, and manufacturing expert Christopher Dunn. I was in Danville, Illinois, late 2023, and we recorded this the day after we were at Danville Metal Stamping, doing metrology inspections on a host of ancient hardstone vases in Egypt. I put a video out discussing our findings from that day, link below, so as you might imagine, it was top of mind for Chris and myself. I very much enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you will also. We get into a variety of topics: the vase scan work, precision, a long discussion on tubular drills and Petrie's Claw number 7, the Serapeum, and we even get into some of the critics and responses to this work, something I know several of you have been waiting to hear. I've added footage and images to the discussion as well as a sidebar commentary section to provide some context, as some of our talk is relevant to the recent debate between Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan experience. And of course, we get into the details of Chris's incredible new book that came out in January of 2024, Gyges, the Tesla Connection. This book is a follow-up to his earlier work, the Gyges Power Plant, and having had early access to it, I can only recommend it most highly. I was honoured to have my endorsement included on the back cover, along with Graham Hancock's, and it's a summary of why I recommend it so highly. This is what I wrote. A comprehensive engineering-focused hypothesis for one of the world's greatest mysteries. Accounting for the myriad of recent new discoveries surrounding the Great Pyramid, Dunn ties these together with disparate scientific advances into a cohesive and comprehensive explanation for its purpose and function, resulting in mind-bending conclusions and staggering implications. End quote. You can find the book in bookstores as well as on Amazon. Before we get into the conversation, some quick channel updates. I'll be talking about several of these topics at the upcoming Cosmic Summit Conference, June 15 and 16 in Greensboro, North Carolina this year, along with a host of amazing speakers like Randall Carlson, Robert Schoch, Praveen Mohan, Robert Temple, and more. Both live stream and in-person tickets are available, and see below in the description for links. I also seem to get a lot of questions about future tour plans, so I've created a page on my website outlining my rough plans for the coming couple of years, and the best way to register for them when they become available. We're just now finalising the itinerary for the Primordial Egypt tour that I host with Yusuf Ayman, and that'll happen in December of 2024, so stay tuned to my socials if you're interested. Now, on to the conversation with Christopher Dunn.
Christopher Dunn, I'm super excited to meet you in person finally. Thanks for coming and talking a little bit.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's great to see you. I've been looking forward to meeting you in person for many years now. You picked a fantastic location for this. We're here in the beautiful Fisher Theatre in downtown Danville, Illinois. I understand you had a hand in the renovation project for kind of redoing this place and making it what it is today.
Well, I had quite a small part in it. It was quite a process that we went through because the theatre had grown, had fallen into disrepair. I've been not been used to that for years. It's just very odd performances very into audience members and of course there was no heat, no air conditioning. The roof was leaking. Okay, it was in terrible disrepair. And leaking and musty and
Rats in the basement.
and rats in the basement and bats in the bottom. But the history of it goes back to 1884. It was the opera, and then, back then they had the whole board of birds, and so they would have all of the old theatre, and this auditorium actually was heated by coal. And when we were doing the restoration everything was kind of like an archaeological dig, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I also understand you've done more than just help get it restored here. Your son Alex says that you also played the narrator in a run of the Rocky Horror Picture Show here as well.
Yeah, everybody has their dark side.
I was hoping you brought the wig. I thought there was a wig involved.
Oh, well, yeah, I wanted to look like Einstein.
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool spot.
So I had this crazy wig on, and I played the narrator in Rocky Horror.
Say all sorts of pretty words.
I was suitably disgusting, I think.
Good stuff.
I think, if ever been to a Rocky Horror show.
No, I've not been to the show. I've heard.
They have kind of like a cult following.
Yes.
And people would travel miles to see it. The interaction between the audience and the cast was dynamic and usually, a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, so I'm out here in Danville. This isn't the only reason that I came out here. And for people that are watching, I've been out here a couple of days now, and we were doing some what I would call very interesting work yesterday out at Danville Metal Stamping. We were doing some, I guess, what would you call it, a series of metrology inspections on a collection of ancient Egyptian hardstone vases. Is it metrology inspection the right word for kind of what we were doing?
Call it using precision instruments to gather data. With scans being out there and people downloading them and making copies of them, we determined that kind of data is arcane
Right.
who would be interested in the subject. And so it was determined by the team that it would be beneficial to do a conventional check. The way we would when I was starting in the tools and do a check that way. So essentially the objects focused on the ground concentric. So it's not just one area of the vase, checking that to see, but also be checking at the same time other areas of the vase to determine how concentric they are to the way round the vase up.
Right, yeah, and I'll put a bit of footage in this when I release this for sure, so people can see the type of thing we were doing. But I mean, I don't want to. I guess it would be hard to overstate it, but this is not something that has really ever been done before on these types of artifacts. I mean, I know we looked at the original vase. People that have seen the vase, a series of vase videos that was produced, we focused on one vase initially, but in the time since then, we've been lucky enough to have interested people with the means to do so go out and purchase a number of these vases, some with impeccable provenance, going back to the 1800s, and also willing enough to sort of wrap them, double wrap them, bring them over here to Danville for an inspection. And it's just like this is not anything that, as far as I know, has really been done on the garden.
Yeah, so the day yesterday we had two owners of the vases, the original vase, that we had on the report on Rock Vista. And then Matt who brought his vase. And so everybody came together and inspected and had a lot of fun. And the results were mind-blowing.
They really were, and that's what I wanted to ask you about. So we talked a little bit about the process, and then that involved essentially we were, as you said, looking at concentricity, roundness. We also were looking at I think, what would you say, consistency of edge and wall thickness was another measurement we were taking. But essentially most of the measuring would involve centering the vases on a rotary table on a precision flat surface, and then mounting, precision gauges that were measuring in kind of the half thousandth increments against the surface and rotating it and recording kind of the variance of measurements. But what did you said the results were momentous. I mean, and this is kind of a word that we use to describe what we did yesterday as well. So what were your takeaways from what we did yesterday and what we saw in terms of the results?
God damn it, that box, man.
Well, when I relate back to the times that I've been through in conversations about the Egyptian glazes, it's always been in the back of my mind. I would like to get one of those in an inspection and check it out convention. And yesterday or today. So it was momentous in that I think that it kind of brings down to more of a broader group of people, a better understanding of because there's the excellent video that you posted, the commenter followed, there seems to be significant misunderstanding about what it means. And it's like, unless you have some kind of technical background, it's hard to fill in all the gaps because if you're not, this is not a criticism of anybody because not everybody has a background in machining or tool making, engineering, but there are a lot of interested parties out there who do have some technical. And so, when you discuss, well, this person is an engineer, the question then should be, well, what kind of engineer is he or her? Are they mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, software engineer, computer engineer? There are so many different types of engineers. And they all have their own language, they all have their own kind of environmental baked-in knowledge. And one of the issues flow from that is that when they're communicating information and concepts, generally they don't convey a lot of the basis, a lot of the fundamental knowledge that most people that they work with, they assume they would already have.
Yeah, that's a really good point because it's something I noticed as well. Like there was a strong reaction to that vase work. I think rightly so because it's to my mind it's one of the few times we've seen sort of significant and real advancement in our understanding of some of these ancient artifacts. And I will consistently see that the people that are mechanical or metrology focused engineers, the machinists, the guys that work on instruments that understand those basic principles, they sort of immediately get it. And you'd see that, but then you see other people that don't have that background, that as you call it, arcane, kind of a black art with some of the scan results and the way it gets talked about. Yeah, I saw that as well with it, and I think there's also some of that's gone into I think a misunderstanding of some of it might have gone into some of the sort of even the criticism that's come from this, although it's hard to criticise these absolute results. And I do think that's where some of the work we were doing yesterday, or you guys were doing and I was just observing, will really help along those lines because you're seeing real numbers. We're not like creating models of anything. We're actually measuring the real surface of these phases at scales that are kind of mind-blowing. Like we're talking single-digit thousandths of an inch. And just as a reminder, I've said it before. We even measured this and got this on video. Was that you can, and we couldn't measure. I pulled out some hair on my head and we measured like the thickness of a human hair being around 2 to 3 thousandths of an inch. Stuck it on Alex here stuck it on the table and we put a gauge on it and you could see that. You could see that thickness and we're talking about basically similar similar depth of precision, where it's like less than the width of the human hair on these vases and the measurements you're getting.
Man, that was a funny video that you shared about that. That was a funny video, my man.
I'll bet. Well, watching you guys try to center some of the vases was,
Well, it's a delicate
yeah, centers. I mean, that's the whole process does involve. Like, you got to get that vase centered on that rotary table, which in itself can, there's lots of different factors you've got to put into this. But yeah, I'll bet there's plenty of times when you want to pull your hair out and sing, for sure. But
But when you talk about the arcane, you talk about the technologies that have evolved since cyber time, 10 years. And they were just being introduced in the manufacturing. We're talking
Come on, man.
and
That would have
so
been fast enough.
as that has evolved, my son Alex has evolved with it, but I didn't. So it was natural for me to want to rely on the old tried and true that I knew in the past.
yeah. Well, I do think though it does help just when you've got these absolute numbers on gauges and you're seeing the physical process in action. That's going to help a lot of people grasp what it means. But it's sort of a question I have, and it's one that I am trying to figure out a good way to explain too. Is like, because and I'll do a full video where we talk about the results we got into yesterday, but certainly several of these vases were just remarkable, like mind-blowing in their what you would call precision.
And look, we can talk all day about it, but just a very short 3-minute video will tell people who understand
Yeah, and for everyone else, sort of the question I do have about that, and we'll put that video in, is like what, so when you see numbers like that, like 1, 2, 3 thousandth of an inch, what is that, what's an analogy, what does that mean in the real modern world, in our daily lives, like where do we see that type of precision in like that, when we're in our modern manufacturing process, what are we doing that gets down to those levels of precision?
My man.
when you go down to around 2 or 2,000, you get your machines called tool makers, gauge makers, generally tool makers work within 2,000. And then gauge makers, making a gauge that you actually check the part. The precision of that is tolerance, so that has to be like 10% of the tolerance that needs to be checked. So you can go from 50 mil in the craft tool, you can go from working to 50 mils or 20 mil, to 1,000.
Yo, Baps, what's up, man?
Yeah, 2,000 of an inch is achievable.
Yo, Baps, lots of 17s. We're close, man. We're super close. We're super, super, super close. Maybe. We've had a lot of close 17s. I'm doing one quick pause. But we're close, man. We're really close. We'd be close. Alright.
Generally, that is reflective of the bearing.
We're close. How are you? Welcome.
Okay. Obviously, if you look close,
Legend.
2,000 inch and a consistent kind of concentricity down the whole piece that is actually tied to
Those emotes.
such as the top surface, which is what we use as a flat plane dating system. And you're talking about machine technology. Now, when you consider machine technology, you think of the power tool. There's absolutely no way.
It's fun though. It's a fun grind, kind of.
Those bases could be made of power. There's no way. An old lathe you know, the bearings are not necessarily a function of bearing. The reflection of the bearings on the measurement is not necessarily related to the type of machine or its the time and history when it was made available for transient use, but it could be related to how it has been used or abused and the condition of the bearings and whether they've been maintained. So, you know, all these functions go into consider. You know, we have to take them all into consideration.
That's a good point, and it's one I want to.
Sometimes one trumps the other. I don't know who. I don't know. I guess Michael Jackson took over there. I thought it was whoever first, but sometimes it's.
The discussion has moved away from like were they made by hand to almost to a point where even the critics of it I've heard say, well, yeah, they must have they did it on a lathe, they must have turned it on a lathe to get there. But it's like we're not talking about a lathe that has components made of wood or something that you're spinning by hand.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's hard stuff like this. We're forgetting about the material involved in this. Like it's a point that you've made, and I know in the reports they've been made, and certainly Mark Vist in his excellent piece made, is that you need like bearings and sets.
What?
They're also precision manufactured.
So dumb.
These levels. This isn't just a simple. Well, okay, they were turning it. Like just admitting that they're turning it isn't enough to explain.
Yeah, I mean, you have to consider that. Yeah, you have a blade. On a wood blade.
Lots of good starts. We're kind of having like a lot of really good starts.
You shave off the wood.
Oh wow.
Metal blade, but the wood is held rigidly in place.
Nice, buddy. Congrats, man. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta fucking lay the foot down. Nice, buddy. Congrats, man. That's huge. That was like a year and a half ago. What the fuck? What a long time ago. Wow.
Yesterday we had ones that were diorite, porphyry, certainly granite. I mean, we had a beautiful set of three. We finally got together the original rose granite piece, and then the other two that also looked like they came from the same mother rock. I mean, it was
Oh, really?
a set of three of them, and they just also happened to be some of the most precise.
Oh yeah, October. Oh right, I thought it was the October previous year.
You know, people forget that the material itself is an amalgam.
We met like October. We met August the previous year. We met a year and a half ago. It's crazy.
Quartz, rock crystal, and it's, it varies all over the place. So, and we did see some of that reflected in even sort of you do get the odd surface imperfection on these vases, and not to mention the fact that also
Yeah, I was about to say that. I feel like I've known you for like fucking years.
Yeah, just to the idea that you can consistently maintain levels of precision of single digit.
Yeah. Usually I'm vaping, Usually it's clean. But man, yeah, that was too much.
Yeah,
It was too much smoke.
One of the areas of that bowl,
No, I'm clean now,
which was kind of like a little flat, like you take the original bowl and you flatten it so it pulls out, and the indicator was put on the top, close to the crown on the top, which would be the best.
Hey man, I'm just glad you got into a car with a stranger that you met on the internet that was smoking illegal drugs while driving in downtown Toronto.
It is
That wasn't me. That was someone else.
affected by two axes that move with the air and the vertical or movement, then it would be reflected in the indicator. And even that track within 3,000 feet is actually mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. And again, to reinforce it, let's not lose sight of the idea that given these are pre-dynastic, and a lot of them in early dynastic Egypt, but certainly pre-dynastic Egypt,
I need to run like that.
they're generally attributed, when we say pre-dynastic, they say like 3,500 to around 4,000-ish BC, before the first pharaoh, the first dynasty came out. I mean, the explanation for how these are made, I mean, there's no wheel in the Old Kingdom. I mean, it's like literally dudes
The
banging
fuck?
on rocks and sand and sticks. I mean, it's a huge conundrum to the story of what was going on at that period of time. But one thing else that I kind of wanted to mention here when we're talking about these vases and these levels of precision is to maybe correct another misconception that I've heard as well is the idea that we couldn't do it today. I mean, you and I
Please,
talked about
aw.
this, that's not true. We have tremendous capabilities in our processes and machining, and we can certainly go well beyond the levels of precision we're seeing here. Is it right to say that we generally don't do it in the same way that we don't make serapeum boxes, and we don't really make these types of granite artifacts to this level of precision, mostly because it would just simply be cost prohibitive?
Yeah. My observation
What? How did it not? What?
has been that most of the people who claim that these artifacts can't be made today are really not, they don't know what modern engineers are capable of, craftsmen are capable of. And so I think it's wrong to claim that. I never claim it at all. And so, because that I think would be disrespectful to,
Oh wow.
and to say, well, you can't do it. Well, sure, watch me, Yeah.
I'm hoping somebody takes us up.
Well, that is, I think, the next step. I mean, I hope that some company that, becomes interested, and who believes that they have the machining or the machine technology and the tool technology to be able to, and also,
Boost me. Come on, man.
computer
But
guide,
why?
CAD
Oh, what I'm saying.
systems to be able to create.
Dude, if I got a boost to the door, that could have been like something good.
Mesh, one thing that we're doing here is
Allowancing.
the
That does not sound safe.
inside of these bases, the inside.
Yeah.
And checking the wall thick and finding that the wall thick on this one base is 2,007.
What's that?
It's 0 out.
Jeez.
Consistent.
That would make anyone silly.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the consistency of the wall thickness, measuring it in different locations on the layers, right? It's within 2,000 of an inch to be consistent. And in terms of overall absolute wall thickness, one of these vases was like between 2 and 4 millimeters.
Yeah.
In terms of just overall thickness. And it's also granite, it's translucent lead like this.
Come on, man.
It dips down to 80.
Yeah, like a divot, you know.
So it's right on that piece of quartz.
Fuck, man.
Like a V-shaped river, and yeah, it's running around 80.
Oh man, like I don't know, 3.5 liters. Oh, you drink a you drink a lot, nice. Well, I know this is like 4 liters, right?
Yeah.
3.8. And I drink about 95%. The last bit it gets like warm. Oh wow, dude. I'm telling you, dude. The 4 liter, bro. You just gotta go full retard, man. I'm telling you, man. It's such a good idea. Cause do you like cold? Do you like cold? You know that. You know that like Nestle commercial back in the 90s of the guy jumping back into like a pool. That's what it feels like every time you drink from this. It's like you're diving into an icy cold pool on a hot summer day. Oh my god. I am.
Up to what?
Man. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for the reminder. And I really think because I tried the 2 liter, I tried the half size. It didn't because the ice melts too fast. It's not enough water, especially if you drink like 750 mils of it. You drink half of it, the ice is gonna melt. You're gonna run out of water. It's already like big as it's already uncomfortably too big.
Yeah.
You gotta go 4 liter.
Expensive.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Man, if you don't drink any water from it, it'll stay cold for maybe 18 hours to 24 hours. But I keep drinking it through time, and there's ice in it even at 20% volume. Pretty amazing. Pretty magical. But below 20%, the ice kind of melts. But
I've got to go and get some stuff. He had a few like modern marble vases, like these beautiful. I mean, obviously
the Coleman, the ergonomics. I tried to get a different one. Tried to get a Gatorade one, and the ergonomics were terrible. You gotta get the Coleman.
They've been turned and they're quite accurate on the outside.
$20 a Canadian Tire.
If you just look on the inside, I mean, it's very. There's a world of difference in terms of the precision.
That's my pit. That's my pitch.
Yeah, the inside is just like it's purely. No one cares about the inside of these things. It's
Oh wow, really cool. Yeah, man. I didn't.
really good comparison.
Oh, it's a good group of people.
I was just like talking. I mean, it's good for me. I don't want you to like waste $20. This is a refill. Oh yeah, I refill it every day.
Yeah, it was
But it's
great.
best at night,
Very
man.
much appreciate the opportunity to kind of be a fly.
At night, if you're thirsty.
My camera waving about, but I think.
No, actually, I thought you were quite well behaved.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
We're going for 16, my friend. 16.
Yeah, well, you don't kind of have to run the place. I think we're doing that after whatever 25 years of
I'm going for 16
Or
seconds.
more than that. Okay. Yeah.
But one point that, you know, I was talking to Matt Melvin with Easel and while he's raising up from Florida. I said, I bet you didn't really even think about it when you were flying up here.
Thanks, man.
You were
Thanks,
flying
man.
with
Yeah.
the artifacts.
Don't have to get up anymore.
Size and
Thanks.
some
Thanks
of
a
the
lot. Yeah,
things that
we've had a lot of
fit
close
into the engine.
17s.
Yeah.
I mean, you put it in that context, and it's
Yeah, in the middle of the night, man, you have ice cold water just by your
To
side. Oh my god.
overestimate. And one thing
It's the
I always
best.
struggle with is
In the
it's
morning,
like, okay, so
you have
have
ice
these
cold
phases,
water.
we're seeing these incredible results, and I think, you know, and I
You wake
even
up,
though we've only at this point, and I say only, it's the first
like,
time
fuck
anyone's
this.
done anything like this, but we've extended our data set from one to now many bases. We probably scanned a dozen or thereabouts, and we're getting more scan results. We're getting CT scans, like I said, down to the micron level kind of resolution.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Toad.
We're doing some of these inspections on them. We're seeing these results. It's like
It really
one
is.
thing I always struggle with, and I'd love to, if you have any thoughts on this, is are these functional? Are they just bases, or are they simply the result of a manufacturing system that is capable of producing precision? I really understand this argument, and this
It's
is
just really
kind of how
laggy.
and I probably learned this from you as well. This is how I kind of can
Not
describe
passing away those
precision
Aztec
systems.
guards at the start makes it super
People can
laggy.
make an argument that a statue is functional, but in the same way that our toasters are really good today, because they're made, it's just that's the result of a manufacturing system that developed
Yo, what's up, Moonraker? How are you?
for a functional reason somewhere else. Do you think that do you think these vases are purely the result of that manufacturing system, or do you suspect or even speculate that they potentially had a functional purpose?
Yeah, that's interesting, and you can speculate all day, but until you go back in time and talk to the originators or the creators, what do you have in mind for this whole movie? It's just going to be speculation, and so it's like, yeah, I mean, you could say, well, they held pottery or
Perfume.
Do you, so,
somebody's doing
dude, Toad, I fill it with ice though, eh?
Shot glasses, some of them. That's all you're attempting now.
I mean, if it's just like lukewarm water, it's not very drinkable. I fill it with ice.
We were just talking briefly about
It's the only way nice. Yeah, like to the brim,
It's
like full of
it's got
ice.
such a long history. I mean, what are we up to? 160 plus years.
You
now
can't
today.
not have it full of ice or else it'll melt too
I'm of
fast.
the opinion that you kind of conclusively put that one to bed a while back with the test that you did.
right.
But it's been it continues to be the source for much discussion.
Yeah, obviously so.
I know you. I think you have some.
No, you can't, because when it gets warm, it's like undrinkable.
I can give people
I usually, if it gets warm, I throw it out and I refill it with more ice and water.
what's happening.
But you'll figure it out, you know.
Obviously,
You
we'd
fucking.
love to scan it and provide more data.
Yeah, and then I'll drink some more.
Resolution, perhaps, that's happened in the past, but yeah, that continues to be an interesting artifact.
Yeah, actually, it's the least important artifact.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it's just a piece of strength, right?
It is, yeah. Technically, that's what it is.
It's a core. They were more interested in having a hole.
They were.
Okay.
That's correct.
They
Insane.
just threw that on the ground.
Like, it's truly insane. It feels infinite. You feel rich. You feel like a rich person.
All of
Because you feel like an infinite source of
absolutely.
refreshing, life providing.
If you go back to the history of it,
It's just
I
the
wrote
best.
about it in 1984. It was published in Analog magazine. So it published in Analog in 1984. August.
But I mean, I use the washroom a lot. I go to the washroom a lot. I'm a high, well-oiled machine. High maintenance.
So, so since 1984, I've had pushback on analysis of this tool, or actually Peter's original analysis.
I'm like a racehorse.
As a manufacturer, I was fascinated by the features that Peter described, and that was the spiral groove that wrapped around the core, and with a 100,000 per revolution advance in the core.
Right.
So our feed rate was 100,000.
Yeah, so it's one in. Yeah, was it a 1 in 60? Was what you
Yeah.
ended up, and I think you figured out it wasn't quite that.
Well, it kind of wanders around. I mean, and eventually, Petrie described it as a drunken screw.
Yeah.
Because it kind of meanders. So if you have like a perfect spiral, perfect view, then it's kind of
Yeah, I haven't submitted my 17. I don't know. I'll only submit it when I give up.
The only method I can think of, and I have consulted with my co-workers about it because they were fascinated.
If I give up.
And we both independently, or one particular toolmaker and I, independently came up with the same method to create it. That was ultrasonic. Because essentially, you're talking about drilling holes in granite. And conventionally, if you use
God damn it.
drill, the advancement of the drill would be maybe 2 to 10,000 inch per revolution. Well, with a drill with a 900 RPM. So that was like 500 times greater in penetration rate. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that
It was spinning at 900, right?
it doesn't mean it was spinning 500 times faster. It was just the penetration rate. And so
Man.
the material removal was oscillation of the drill. And so it's kind of like sonic machining. And sonic machining is a method, it's real. It exists.
Yes.
But I was kind of relating back to another method when I thought about it, and that was EDM, electrical discharge machine. Because when you can actually drill and tap a threaded hole in a piece of power line. No, not conventional tool, but with electrical discharge machine.
Yes. Saw a couple of those machines yesterday.
Yeah. So there are ways to do it, but it involves the rotation of an electrode that has a thread in it, and the rotation is equal, in the middle, equal to that the pitch of the thread. So
Right.
Okay. So then you go to ultrasonics where you have the penetration of the granite with the core. It's advancing into the granite by the action of a rotating tool that has a thread on it, a bolt on it, and it's threading through a nut. So it's actually advancing at a specific rate. And eventually I actually suspended my assertion that it was ultrasonic. I remember that was after actually examining it, but well, I need to back up on it. So, but that seemed to have put the cat among pigeons as far as, the conventional anti-crystallized theology, heavily mocked and criticized for that.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking the question. But essentially, that evolved when a book was published in, I think it was 1999, called Keys of the Truth. And they presented their own examination of the core and claimed that it was a horizontal groove rather than a spiral groove. And so when I looked at the photograph that they displayed in my book, I thought, well, that the core looks
Yeah,
like
I'd,
yeah.
yeah.
Would throw up their observations, I think. So, but at least I knew by reading my book where the core existed, because before then I never had it in my hands or located. And living in the Midwest, I was probably somewhere in England, but I don't know where. But now I find out it was in the Creature Museum. And so then I made arrangements to go there in 1999 or 99, 2000. I said, well, I've got to go, and I've got to get my hands on it, and I've got to
see like a boost like that. It's not pace, but like if something like a run like that.
Rotate, you know,
Like if I unpause right there after a YOLO door, that would be the best.
spiral groove, and then suddenly I was like, just a piece of cotton thread.
Yeah.
Simple, easy, you know, foolproof. Well, you would think, because come to find out, after I published what I found, it wasn't foolproof, because there's a lot of people who don't believe it.
It is, however, repeatable.
It
And
is
I know it's been
repeatable.
repeatable by, and it has been repeated by quite a number of people. In fact, somebody, I think even this year or last year, went there and organised a research appointment to do it. I saw that on Facebook. It was done as recently as last year. I hope to do it, but the place.
We're talking about Eric Wilson.
Was it last year? Somebody?
I think it was 2019.
Maybe not. I think there was somebody else who was more recent than that.
And they used the cotton thread.
Yep.
And
And they, same result. Like they followed the grooves and it came out as a spiral. Like
right.
they posted about it. I saw it on Facebook and
What?
It'd be nice to know who they are.
I'll find out.
Their research.
I'll dig it up.
Because that's what, okay, so that's one. So you have Petrie, who's the original.
That's
the
right.
originator.
Yeah.
I inspected it and found it to be a spiral. And then in 2019, while I was there,
Somebody else with you, right?
I had a geologist with me. His name is Malcolm McClure.
Yeah, Malcolm McClure.
Yeah.
He also.
He was retired from British Petroleum. And so he did it. He wrapped it around 16 times. And he put it down, and I said, well, what do you think, Malcolm? And he said, I'm speechless. Yeah. But it's interesting, though, that as a geologist, when we were talking about the various methods of checking whether it's a spiral or not, he came up with the idea of taking images of it at various places around, rotating the photograph, taking the photograph, rotating the photograph, rotating the taking the photograph, and then splicing all the photographs together so that you have a full 360, right?
Yep.
And he sent me the results, and I was like, well, thinking, as a way, a means of conveying geometric data to the customer as a manufacturer,
Come on, man.
that would not be acceptable, and because you have too much room for error. For one, just splicing everything together.
Yeah.
One, but also you are looking at a three-dimensional object, and you're looking at a series. If you look down, you're looking at a series of crowns, right? And so everything about it is pretty much good. But if an inspection report showing something like that, they don't exist because we don't do it. One of the related kind of technologies that we use in aerospace would be to create, jet engines, rockets, all kinds of engines. They have a myriad of cones, truncated cones, different sizes, diameters, lengths, heights, modified, you name it. So generally, something that is cone-shaped in an engine will start out as a flat blank.
Right.
And then it is cut as a flat blank, and then we join it together, weld it. Sometimes in the past, before the invention of laser or EDM,
Why?
They would actually cut some features in the flat blank.
Right.
Right. And then when it was rolled and welded, those features would assume the geometry that are necessary to be seen in a three-dimensional
What?
object rather than a two-dimensional object. And so there's kind of changes in dimension, different things like that. So all of those factors come into play when you consider what method you're going to use to check geometric features of it. So Malcolm, you know, I mean, it was fine. I mean, I have no problem with him wanting to check that way because I understand that when a geologist looks at a core, he's looking at different information that is based on his knowledge, his training, and it's not necessarily geometry or stuff like that. He's looking at the geology of it. Well, then 2019, Eric Olson, aerospace engineer, and his colleague, Gyges, got an appointment for and they checked.
I went for the YOLO door.
Checked the core with the thread, and they said, yeah, it's fine. He wrapped it around 12 times, and he said, I got bored. So this is kind of like, you know, everybody's excited about this core just because somebody says, oh, okay, it's a spiral. No, it can't be a spiral. Why can't it be a spiral? Oh, well, you know why it can't be a spiral, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying with Alex earlier. It's like that's the implication of what that means is that it presents this challenging problem. That's why it can't be a spiral.
Right, it can't be a spiral because then it puts
grinding.
Right, so starts the research, becomes null and void. The whole concept of how the ancient Egyptians crafted their arguments becomes null and void.
Yeah, it's the house of cards. I think at some point starts to crumble with these basic assertions. But yeah, well, the other thing that I think people, I mean, you also had, or the Petrie Museum did this. Maybe they did it. and They sent it to you, and they made the latex mold. So going with that truncated cone, lay it out on a flat surface.
Right.
Did you suggest that to them to make a latex molding of it?
Yeah, I wanted the latex mold, specifically with the objective of slicing it and being able to examine it in 3D. So basically, that's what I did.
Come on, man.
I met with the museum curator, Dr. Stephen Percy, was a very, very nice man, very accommodating, and for a price, he agreed to have a latex mold made and send it to me, and I received, it was like that time, 2003. So, yeah, it was definitely a spot.
Yeah, I mean, that to me it was conclusive evidence at that point. Like it's literally geometric proof that it's a spiral. It's right here in front of me. Like it's laid out step by step. I'm baffled that it's still on our own.
Well, I mean, a lot of people confuse themselves when they I don't know for whatever reason, ideology or whatever, they can't accept. And so, you know, they will argue against it. And you know, when you consider it, it's not the most cleanest and perfectly drilled hole.
No.
I mean, it's a mess. I would say it's just an ugly mess, you know, because it shows that this drill, it was done fast and dirty, you know, or just popping holes.
Why? Like, this is bullshit, man.
Without regard to fit or finish, I mean, they just wanted a hole.
Yeah, I'd love to see it repeated. I mean, honestly, it's like people think it's like Petrie's Core No. 7 is the only one that's really been looked at. But I know, I mean, I've browsed the archives of the Petrie Museum. They've got a half a dozen other cores in there that seem, just from the eyeball, show deep grooves. I'd love to see them inspected.
Well, Eric actually checked some others in the museum while I was there.
Cotton thread.
Yeah, with a copper thread, and he found that they were fine.
Really?
Yeah, Lucas and Harris in their book describe cores without a spiral.
Okay.
Besides the Pete's core on the side.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think that it's just one core.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's a lot of people.
Yeah. And even though I know photogrammetry is a tough method, I happened to, one of the last trips I was in Egypt with, I had some people with us that were real experts in this and took hundreds of photographs of drilled holes, and they've reconstructed really high resolution 3D images of these holes from, you know, hundreds of these images, and I think it's at the resolution where it looks like we can you could potentially show that there might be a matching pattern in some of these holes, like the ones at average sear, which is riddled with the holes from these cores. And it'd be interesting to. I'm yet to do that work to see if there's a way to do. I mean, ultimately, I'd like to see a molding made of those holes too, because you could pretty much do the same thing. But yeah, at least I have these 3D scans, these super high resolution scans that have been created from portions or even sort of complete.
Yeah, I needed to have like been boosted to the door. I just gotta keep trying the YOLO doors like that, and the miracle might happen.
Yeah.
And
there's so much to look at. Though.
There is.
What do you want to spend your time looking at? What excites today?
Yeah, well,
I'm going to add a little postscript commentary here, as this discussion about the spiral groove on cores like Petrie's number 7 is an important topic, and I want to add some context for what you're going to see next. Chris shared with me a brief interview he conducted with the aforementioned Eric Wilson, an aerospace engineer and friend of Chris's, who also visited the Petrie Museum in London to inspect drill cores, and is someone eminently qualified to comment on the engineering and manufacturing aspects of artifacts like them. After that, Chris and I get into a discussion about some of the critics and skeptics that have commented or produced content about our work and observation in this core. If you want the whole story of Petrie's core number 7, check out my full-length documentary on ancient Egyptian drill cores, linked in the description box below. But as we mentioned in the conversation, the key point here is the obvious fact that this core, rightly identified by Chris as nothing more than a piece of scrap, has a deep spiral groove, a witness mark to the process that created it. Any engineering analysis of this spiral groove quickly leads to some very interesting and challenging conclusions. That it was evidently cut with some sort of advanced process that penetrated into granite, an extremely hard stone, at rates around 500 times greater than those achievable by our own machines and processes used to create similar holes today. Obviously, these conclusions, or even the mere questions that are raised by the spiral groove observation, are tremendously challenging to the standard model of history, which asserts that not only was everything we see in ancient Egypt done by the dynastic Egyptians, but was done with very primitive methods indeed. Primarily, these holes and cores are explained by a simple grinding process using copper tubes, sand, and a bow drill. Of course, while these methods certainly do work, in that you can grind a hole into granite with them, they take a very long time, days of work to cut a small, shallow hole, and more importantly,
Give
they
me
leave very
a.
different witness marks.
Give me like
at the
5 to
start.
minutes.
Grinding
Let me
effectively
take a little break.
polishes the core
It's gonna be a good time. I
drill
need to make a call.
through the seemingly endless back and forth abrasive motion, or depending on the specific abrasive substance used, it might leave very fine, very faint horizontal scratches on the stone. What it doesn't do, however, is leave a deep spiral groove as a witness mark. Because of the implications of a spiral groove on the drill core, the so-called mainstream has never, ever admitted that it is in fact a spiral groove. Any discussion of Petrie's core number 7 in those circles or in the textbooks that they produce will always be labelled as having horizontal or concentric lines or striations. Here's a 1983 study into drill cores, specifically looking at Petrie's findings on core number 7, that simply calls its grooves concentric. And in fact, the word spiral never actually appears anywhere in the article, despite Petrie himself describing it as such. This study, strangely, claims victory by experimenting by grinding into granite with different mediums and looking at the results under a microscope. Yet it seems to me that instead, it effectively demonstrates just how different the results are from a grinding process when compared to core number 7. These images are their results of grinding into granite, and you can clearly see the fine circular striations versus the deep spiral groove that's present on core number 7. Chris Dunn himself got a similar result of a polished drill core when he ground out a hole in granite with a copper tube and grinding compound. Chris already mentioned the tilted drill core photograph in the book Gyges the Truth, which, if we're generous, was possibly a mistake. Less generously though, how else to explain it as anything other than a subtle and somewhat nefarious attempt to make the obvious spiral groove appear horizontal when viewed on the page. Even Dennis Stocks, the experimental Egyptologist who claims to have solved ancient Egyptian engineering challenges with simple tools, and who worked with Mark Lehner to produce several documentaries on the topic, refuses to admit that the groove is a spiral. Detailing his experiments in his book, Stoneworking Technology in Ancient Egypt, he claims that his efforts produced, quote, horizontal striations similar to the ancient ones on rose granite, end quote. Close-up images of Dennis Stock's granite core, produced by his experiment, don't seem to be available, but even in the low-quality image in his book, and as he waves it around in the low-res documentary footage, it doesn't seem to look anything like Petrie's core number 7.
Yes. That could be Fourth Dynasty, Dennis.
A quick reminder that these experimental, small, shallow holes that produce small, short drill cores, taking days of effort to cut, are a far cry from the ancient evidence we can find on the sites and granite of Egypt itself. There are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of examples to be found, from small, repeated and overlapping drill runs into the edge of this granite box in the Cairo Museum, probably a half-inch or so in diameter, right up to colossal holes in the 9-inch or greater size. Look at those used to make this small box. Or this one, which is found in the central granite structures at Karnak Temple. Recently, while inspecting a massive granite arch at the boundary of Karnak, we found what might be the largest drill hole I've ever seen. I'd estimate at least 20 to 24 inches in diameter, at the very top of the span. Imagine what it might take to cut that hole with your copper tube and sand. And then how exactly are you snapping the core out of it? Some of these ancient drilled holes are also quite deep, and many show similar striations to Petrie's core number 7. For example, here's a hole in the granite block at the entrance to the Great Pyramid of Giza, found just below the chevrons, one of several very long holes that have been made into this one block. Here are some more, found in the granite block that's now lying at the bottom of the pit in the subterranean chamber far below the Great Pyramid. I'm happy to say that through the use of photogrammetry, many of the drill holes found in places like these, as well as those of Abu Sir, have been scanned and modelled with striations clearly visible, and I fully intend to utilise modern software to unwind these striations and find out if they, as I suspect they do, also form spiral grooves. But when it comes to these questions, and the differences between the ancient examples and the modern experimental results, it doesn't seem like Dennis Stocks is really willing to engage on the topic. Here's a brief clip of Chris Dunn talking with Marcus Allen, the UK editor of Nexus magazine, when he had the chance to ask Dennis Stocks about core number 7.
Sussex Egyptological Society, which is my
Right.
local Egypt society here in the UK in Sussex.
Right.
They're
I forget
quite-
the year.
Yeah, they have 3 venues that they use alternately, so they cover the whole of Sussex. They have quite a lot of members, several hundred members,
Yeah.
and I was aware from their publications that Dennis Stocks was going to give a presentation, and I thought I'd heard about the work that he'd been doing in Egypt with his copper saw and his drill. I thought I've got to listen to this guy, and I emailed you just before that talk, and you said, ask him about the core number 7, the Petrie core. Which is
Yeah, I sent you an image, as I recall,
That's right.
and I asked you to ask him if his core, which I couldn't get a good picture of it, to ask him if his core looked anything like this. I mean, I wasn't being a smartass or anything like that. I was just curious if his core looked like the one that was in the Petrie Museum. So.
Well, I showed him after the talk, after the Q&A, we all milled around as you do after talks, and I approached Dennis and asked it. I showed him the picture, and I said, did your core look similar in any way to this core? Now, he obviously knew what I was showing him.
Mm-hmm.
He turned around and walked away. He wouldn't discuss it, anything. He wouldn't even acknowledge I showed him a picture.
Really?
So, hopefully, this little sidebar provides some context as to just why it's so important to establish and confirm that it is a spiral groove on core number 7. As I said in the interview, I think the door was firmly closed on this issue with the latex mold analysis. As you'll hear from Eric Wilson, the same spiral groove also exists and has been confirmed on other cores housed in the Petrie Museum, ones that I also hope to inspect at some point in the future. This also gives some background as to the frankly absurd lengths some people have gone to in order to try and deny this simple, repeatable, observable fact. For what it's worth, the nonsensical, frankly ridiculous approach taken by some of the more vocal critics of the analysis of core number 7, specifically those ones that you'll see being discussed by Chris and Eric, were referenced by Flint Dibble in the recent debate with Graham Hancock on JRE when the subject briefly came up. This is an approach based on photographs of the core that are then all stitched together, and it's an approach where you're limited to the perspective of the camera, which changes the visible angle of lines as you look up or down from the lens point. Now, clearly, Flint is not an engineer, and he doesn't claim to be, but I wonder what he'd say if he knew just how truly ridiculous these processes and claims made by skeptics are from an engineering standpoint. Or is it more likely he's just agreeing with them and promoting them on JRE because they support his overall perspective, in which he simply ignores or dismisses any of the significant and valid technological evidence for sophisticated ancient capability, far exceeding the tools and techniques known to be used by the dynastic Egyptians? Watch and decide for yourself. Here's Chris talking with aerospace engineer Eric Wilson, and after that we'll return to my discussion with him.
So let's get to our favourite subject, or maybe our least favourite subject now, which is the Petrie core number 7.
Right.
And tell us about your interaction
Yeah.
with that.
So
You
I
have
had,
some experience
I
there,
had the
right?
opportunity to go to London, and I had some time, and I wanted to go to the British Museum there, and the Petrie Museum, and I learned from you actually that you can't get into the Petrie Museum to see the good stuff, the Petrie core and specific artifacts, unless you fill out a request form, a request for those pieces and a date and a time and a schedule. You have to be scheduled in to be there at a specific time, but that was okay. We could fit it in to our visit.
But you also have to be credentialed too, right?
You have to have a reason. You can't just walk in off the street and request pieces from the archive.
Right.
You have to have credentials. Yeah, you have to be, you can be a historian or you can be an engineer. And we went in as engineers. It's me and a colleague of mine that we work closely together. We're both interested,
So, knowing the controversy that has surrounded the Petrie core, you designed an experiment when you got there to determine whether the Petrie core was a horizontal groove or
we
if
did.
there were spirals.
First it requires more than just your eye. You need to have some optics. Some high-powered readers seem to work the best. I'd use a 1 to read a book, but I went to like a 2 reader to see into that, to be able to hold it close to your face. And then we took a thread and rotated and wrapped around the groove, and it was definitely a spiral. It wasn't just me. It was my colleague. I'll mention his name, Josh Gear, also an aerospace engineer. We both witnessed and wrapped that groove. So
You think, and you consider that to be a legitimate way methodology for determining whether it's a spiral or it's
Yeah, I mean,
horizontal?
we rotated. What's my picture got? It's probably got 20 wraps.
Yeah,
I mean, there's 20 observations, a dozen. So
yeah,
so I did a dozen just in this photo. I mean, you could keep going, but you get bored with it. But after a dozen wraps, they were not crossing.
so,
I'll show them the picture.
yeah,
This is
that's
what we're doing.
to be honest, I expected you to use a different method because I use that method, but I don't know of a better way to do it, a simpler way to do it.
Well, back to my metrology background, back to building precision machines, the ultimate way is to go in and scan the part with an optical scanner and rebuild it in a
I think
software.
that's the next step, right?
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's the way to share it with the world. This is filling out paperwork, getting into the museum, having the parts given to you, and sitting down in the morning. It was like 10 a.m. Taking some pictures, wrapping the cores. It was a fun time, and it's a cool way to do it.
So, do you think there's any way that you could have done that examination using that thread? Is there any way that you could have like made a mistake and taken the wrong path and come up with a horizontal groove?
I'd have to make a mistake 12 times on 12 wraps.
Yeah.
And like I said, you get bored with it after that. You're not going to just wrap it all the way
It
up.
becomes redundant, right?
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's a spiral because the thread's falling in the groove. What else can we look at in this museum?
Yeah.
There's no intent to make any other observation. We hadn't even considered it. It's just we just wrapped it with thread, and all right, this piece makes a spiral. We looked at several others. And, there's, I think we had 10 small cores.
Mm-hmm.
Some were internal,
Right.
and they seem to have spirals too. You can't wrap an internal.
No, you can't.
But with the observation.
But on the outside, you found that they
Yeah.
were spiral.
Yeah.
So, evidently, these guys have not heard about you because I don't see your photograph of that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Scientists Against Myth.
I didn't go there for any publicity of it. I went there for my own
I know.
entertainment in London. I found it very interesting. And Petrie Museum has a lot of unique artifacts.
So let's talk about other methods.
Yeah.
In my book, as you know, I describe the core as a flat blank, or at least an impression of the core as a flat blank.
Right, you had rolled it out.
I'd rolled it out. I'd done a latex impression and rolled it out, and then checked the grooves as a flat blank. Would you consider that to be a legitimate method of inspection?
I think it is. I mean, that's you did it with a latex. That's the way we are going to do it when we get a chance to do it with digital.
Right. So
we're gonna lay it out.
That's I've got better photographs of that.
Yeah. Again, I mean, we did it with a thread.
Right.
That's not digital. You did it with.
Right. That's not digital.
Latex. But now we're moving into.
All right.
We're getting advanced.
So Scientists Against Myth, they used a different methodology in inspecting the Petrie core number 7.
Okay.
And their methods were to use a camera and photograph the core at various places around the circumference,
Yeah,
like so.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
that gets very difficult.
And so when you do that, you basically have a profile that you're looking at. If you look down,
Uh-huh.
you have a profile that is like that, where you have all these crowns, a crown, a crown, a
Yeah,
crown, a crown,
you're
and it's moving.
you're connected to the perspective of your camera.
Right, and you also have an issue with focus and actually the distortion of the grooves.
Oh yeah, that really, you'd have to use a fine line generator, finer than the area that you're going to measure to take the scan.
Right. So that would, the results of that would be very difficult to interpret. I mean, I know in my experience that method has never been used to convey information about geometric features on a cone, aerospace engine part,
Yeah.
to convey information to a customer about the geometry of it, because of the those actual issues. But however, the scientists against meth are proclaiming that this method is superior, and they produce an image that I think is designed to confuse the reader or the viewer with their YouTube video. And so I just wanted to know your perspective.
Yeah.
On that
Well,
particular arrangement.
there's a possibility of error every time you take another image. If it's not a continuous image being generated, there's an error later
Oh, no way.
junction.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. They did that to me once.
Doesn't mean it is.
If you call and complain, they might give you a refund.
I've
That's
worked
what happened to
with
me.
metrology. I've worked with optical precision metrology.
But
Whatever you use.
I was upset. Usually I can wait,
No,
but I was upset because it was a tool for a job that I was gonna do when I was still working Monday to Friday, and it was like it was like specifically for that day. It was spring compressors for the to lower the car, to install coilovers and or springs. And I was pretty upset because I was like, I needed them that day, and they gave me a refund and I felt guilty, but I felt happy. I don't usually complain, but I mean, I was like shit, like I'm kind of screwed.
yeah, 100 years of deception. Yeah, 100 years of deception. Out of place artifact. 100 years of deception. So basically that spans Hickory, myself, now you.
Want to hear something funny, dude? So that was the recruiter, the Chinese recruiter from China. And she goes, "Oh, you know, Mark, you got all your documents authorized pretty quickly." I'm like, "Yeah, like it was not easy." She goes, "Yeah, there's this other Canadian candidate, and he's complaining that he's not going to be able to get a doctor's appointment for like 6 months, and you were able to get yours completed." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like there's let me tell you about the situation in Canada, Chloe. Like there's no fucking doctors. I have no doctor. I went to a walk-in clinic. You know, I went to all these travel clinics. They all rejected me. I went to these other walk-ins. They rejected me, and the fucking one, it was so full. It was like overflowing. It was insane." It's fucked, man. Canada's fucked. It's like don't ever need a doctor in the year 2024 because you're gonna be like fucked.
I've also realized that I could spend hours responding to this request. It's not going to change their minds. It's just going to generate another response video, which is kind of what they want in the first place. A lot of this is trying to get a response. I mean, I'm talking about me personally here. And then B, it's just, it will never end. Like, they'll do an end run, the goalpost will shift.
All the time.
You will get, your points will not be acknowledged, and you'll just be arguing and moving to something else.
Yeah, I even had a drum post with it. Posted something, and I made a really good comment. He responded to my post, but he changed the word in his post.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and silly games like that.
Oh.
It's kind of, this is getting stupid.
It really does, and I've it's funny because I have actually swapped an email with someone and said, look, if you want to have a debate,
Oh, hey man, wow, you think I lost a lot of weight? Thanks, buddy. Honestly, probably the bananas and the fruit in the smoothies, maybe. Not eating bananas, I guess. I don't think I lost a lot of weight. Maybe I did. Maybe I was a plump guy. Probably just all the bananas and fruit. Thanks to you, man. Thanks to your tip. I don't know, the batteries died on the scale, so I stopped weighing myself. I didn't replace the batteries. No, that's it's just like whatever. It's just step on it. It's not working. It's like they might be loose. Who knows? They might just be loose batteries.
I get it. I totally get it. And I stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I turned to food too as like emotional crutch during when I was public enemy number 1. Like, not even exaggerating with that public enemy number 1 claim. The stress from 2021, 2022. I was really stressed, man. Probably just, from them wanting to put us in concentration camps. That would stress you out. Yeah, man. Big time. Man, that was funny when that Chinese girl was like, yes. This other Canadian said he couldn't get an appointment with his doctor for 6 months. I'm like, yeah, it's fucked. I'm like, I have no doctor, Chloe. My 70-year-old mother has no doctor. Like, it's fucked. I went to the walk-in emergency care today, and they said masks required. It was jam-packed with people. I think it's just people that don't have doctors now are going in the walk-ins. And I think that's how they're able to maintain the COVID restrictions, is through these walk-in filters, you know? 'Cause it was fucked. It was like going back in time to like 2021. I was the only one in there without a mask. I walked out. I couldn't do it. It was full of people. It was insane.
It just gets to the point of being ridiculous. You know, there's one, I think it was ancient presence. Yeah, they were throwing photographs of the sort of project going around.
I'm a real enemy of the people. Yeah, really.
Variations in the angles, and one of them was like 4 minutes.
It was crazy, man. 2024. There was like, I don't know. There was like 30 people in that room. They were all wearing masks in the year 2024. Every single one. And you just go outside and everything's normal. It's crazy, man. It's like they're addicted to it. It's like their identity. It was like Bizarro World, man, I'm telling you. If you ever feel nostalgic, just go to the fucking walk-in clinic in Orleans. I'm sure there's one in Montreal that's just like that too. Like, it's crazy. And they have a sign saying, yelling at staff will not be tolerated. It's like, you know, people have yelled at them about this shit. That made me smile. That put a smile on my face.
So, coming to conclusions about what is correct and what is the customer specification for what is correct and what is not. That's the one thing. The other thing is that just like in Dan and Understand,
How about you, man? Are you achieving your physical goals?
you'll have rough organs, you'll have rough machines,
You enjoying your gym?
you'll have semi-finished machines, and then you'll have final machines. All of them have a specific range of tolerance for the shooting.
That's cool, you can go 24 hours.
So if you don't know anything about
Lost a bit of weight? Strength? Me too, man. Me too. But I become leaner. I think it's just winter. I think it's just winter blues, dude. And I guess no gym membership too. Winter eats, yeah. Close, we're close. We're close. We're cleaning up our runs. We're close.
Been in there a couple of times.
What? Wait, what?
This one's a great one because it's in between kind of the polished surface and the box material.
Oh, like one of those tall drawings. We're done with this. Oh, we can't use it. So what do we do? Oh, we just bury it.
Yeah, they stuck it. It's literally back. It's. I mean, it's one of the biggest boxes material. You live on it. And it's just tucked into the back. It's literally. And it's. I'm like.
Yeah.
Some of the other stupid theories I've seen about that place. Well, they were using toys and capstans and posting the ground to leave these boxes around.
Yeah, really, honestly.
Where are they? There's no room for people to use them. Why letters and then oh, if the claims that are made about
We are the carbon they want to reduce.
a little bit batty because of just to get away from the precision for a second, Mariette supposedly found evidence for pullings.
Thanks for still being here.
This would have been a discovery that changed the course of what we know about the domestic.
Like, see that type of boost? That was a YOLO door kind of shit run, but
If you think the Egyptians built this place, they weren't using tools. But how do you think that
we are close, Baps. It's not like we're not. We haven't been having good runs, but we are close. I have about what, maybe 15 17s? I've been playing maybe 15 hours.
But it just it's in the same category of people making statements about, the evidence that's in there and the statements about the boxes without understanding the validity.
It's just gotta happen.
It's mostly done in order to I think.
Oh man, after what I saw in the clinic today, I think so, man.
What is an honest evaluation of what we're saying?
After what I saw today in that clinic.
Some of that category, it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Because, I mean, I saw that before in Florida, too. Well, I guess even in Canada, too. Earlier. But, man, in 2024, people are giving me these looks, dude. Like, I was fucking...
Yeah, that is a kind of like
I left before. Because I'm like, I'm not going to fight with these, like, old, sick people. That's not what I'm going to do.
I got a read. There's a text message from an engineer. He had seen a video called Live.
Like, this poor guy. This poor Canadian guy. Same boat as me. He just wants to get a job to teach. For getting fucked by the Canadian government in 6 months. So I was just opening my heart with that Chinese woman. I'm like, yeah, it's fucked. Like everything's fucked. Yeah, man, I have that interview on Monday at 4 p.m. for the dream job. The director of sustainable solutions for Reworld Covanta. Had the harshest lockdowns, yeah. Oh, I think the longest too. Australia was probably worse, I think, though. Especially South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, or whatever the fuck it's called. Melbourne, nightmare. Oh man, they had the. Yeah, maybe not. You good point. But they had concentration camps, bro. They had remember the COVID friggin' voluntary camps that weren't voluntary. And then remember the fight? I remember I was watching a video of the Aussie union workers. So the unions didn't stand up for the union workers. And I remember the Aussie workers going to the head of the union and just smashing in all the windows of the office and just like destroying the place. Because the union sided with the government. It was fucking epic. That was such a fucking epic stream, and then the cops came and shit. Holy fuck. I was like, okay, don't mess with Australia. Yeah, I wasn't here though for the worst part, bro. You were here in the darkest time. Fucking insane, dude. You were here in the Cold War, man. I would have lost my mind. Just so dumb. It's not fast enough. That back boost ruined it. If I didn't have the back boost, it might be, but I just not. Let's see where we come out of the pause. Yeah, that's not very good. China? Oh wow, that's funny. More like Islamabad. I love Pakistanis. No.
Must have been.
21. Oh.
And the people who are given the responsibility to analyze the data, are not qualified to do that. Not only that, they reject any effort by people
Dude, Australia's a fucked up place. Sorry, Moonraker. I love you. But Australia's a fucked up place, dude. Well, at least Perth was. Fucking fist fights starting on like a Monday afternoon, Monday evening at like 5:30 in the street. Drunk people rolling out of bars, starting fights in the street at 5:30 p.m. on a Monday in downtown.
Well, yes, but no, but you're right, and I would sort of close that with saying that
It costs like $9 per beer downtown. That's what Perth was like, man. Perth was wild, man. Perth was like in the Wild West. But there's all these like really rich buildings and everything is really expensive. So the disparity was huge. There's a lot of poor Australians there, man. A lot of hillbillies. A lot of mullets. Oh, what? Why?
when you have some people who are saying, well, the holes in the lugs on the bays are
You think another lockdown's happening? Well,
therefore,
versus Toronto. Yeah.
dismiss the whole thing. Not even trying to
Oh, I can totally see it. Them trying it again. Babs, I can totally see it. I think they even have more power to do it now.
Well, it's interesting because I think this is something that has been certainly I got from the book that's coming out in February.
It's like, what would the motive be this time, though? Same thing, same motive? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a good comparison. I would say Perth is a lot like Toronto, yes. Yeah. That's a good comparison. It's true because it's ridiculous. Because it's so rich and everything is so clean and you think everything is so perfect. Perth's like Vancouver, actually, honestly. Just 'cause everything is nice and pretty and clean, and then there's all this like poverty. Toronto ain't clean. It's pretty clean. I mean, there's like fancy buildings, you know what I mean? There's like fancy glass, gold buildings in Toronto, you know? And then there's like a guy defecating on it. It was St. Clair. That's a nice neighborhood, isn't it? and walk down. I hear you. There's unjustified word baps, based baps, based baps. I agree. Oh, it was criminal. Then turn right at Young and Dundas. Yeah. I guess it has changed. Fucking city halls where all the homeless would like defecate and just smell like feces. In the courthouse. Yeah, oh, it's crazy. They're just trying to take our rights away. It's not it. Take our rights and our lefts, yeah, really. True. Very true. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, because, like, man, everybody gave total trust. But I mean, like, it's just like. Just someone saying the creation of a new class of citizen that didn't even exist before COVID started, and the discrimination against them when they literally were staying home like they were told to. And then they became the enemy of everyone. I just can't get over it, man. I can't forgive. Can't do it. 3-day and a 1-week lockdown in South Australia. Oh wow, insane. Oh wow. No, man, it's personal choice. It's up to personal choice. That's the whole issue. No discrimination. Oh, see that boost? It was a shit run. I grinded at the end, but that's the type of boost I need. It's not pace. No, that was 16.
Yeah, yeah. So,
No, man, it's no tard. It's personal choice. This is discrimination I'm against. Oh my gosh.
Well, I gotta say, I know you
But
like
yeah, dude, the reports of the finding of the plasmid E. coli DNA in it, the E. coli plasmid DNA, holy shit. With the SV40 promoter sequence,
to update that theory
it's insane.
right.
of the power plant. Can you give us a quick overview of what you can expect to see in there? I mean, I do love the use of. I think it's it's projects like the Scan Pyramid project, the resonance and earthquake studies that have happened many times since you published the first
Right.
book, and all of that's factoring into updated and more comprehensive
Yeah,
theory.
yeah. I mean, the basic theory, and obviously over the years, tuned into discussion, objections to the theory are part of, and so there was several points that I knew that I had to make to address the criticism that and one of them was the existence of course is a solely functional
Easy word.
key. And so I was aware that was a weak kind of argument because of the orientation of the course and how it was expressed in practice and then in 2018, of course, I had the Gyges who was studying the inherent aspects, and he said, well, it doesn't look like it's that, and maybe it's 50% because of absorbers. So, yeah, the percentage of quartz is low, and the orientation is high, so that kind of impacted the well, that all changed in 2019 when Robert Walter passed away. Robert Walter, in contact with physicist McMaster here in Australia, Robert had been poking around the internet trying to get information about either the nature of igneous rock. So he came across some treatment who had been doing research.
Yeah, oh, true, dude. Yeah, 100%,
So
1000%. Well, maybe,
developed this.
but I know what you're saying. Yeah, there shouldn't have been, dude. You can't have,
The minarets of igneous rock
you
have
can't
what he calls ancient features
have
that when
the
observed
state decide body autonomy
are
rights,
targeted
right?
characteristics.
It's insane.
So yeah, that's all part of the code that the rules
Oh yeah, anyone
that
that tried to enforce it is an enemy.
correct.
100% is a traitor and an enemy.
For the pathologists, and they show up as earthquake
Yeah, because it ionizes the
right.
area.
It ionizes the air, and you have these light flows. And so his hope was that he would be able to qualify a method where the coming earthquake would be thought to be days before the coming earthquake. So in other words, it would be slow. So
Yeah, I think there is input lag somewhere, maybe with this controller. I don't know. Something's lagging.
And so he gave a presentation last week. No appropriate place to talk about updates.
True.
And so
That was a good Boris.
put it on YouTube. Right. So I'm thinking, well, all right. So he has identified the physics behind X-ray, and this point, he relates it to semiconductors. And and then he said it's new, it's exciting, and he was very enthused about the whole thing. Unfortunately, the seismologists have not been touching it. Hopefully they will. But I saw the picture and I thought, hey, we're looking for a source of electrons.
Right.
Then they're right under our feet. Because what he said is that when igneous rock in the earth gets stretched, the rock turns into a battery. So essentially, we have a battery. We're standing on top of a battery. It's dormant. But it's going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Oh, I mean, it has to be remembered. I mean, dude. And the fact that they announced it 20 years after 9/11, like, come on, man. The greatest false flag ever done in human history, and then 20 years on the anniversary,
I met him
Joe Biden does the speech on September 8th, where they let the cat out of the bag to show that they're going to discriminate against a newly formed class of citizen. It's just so evil and demonic. Like, it's just so insane.
Yeah, it's been great to read about that in the
That's
book.
September 8th, 2021, Joe Biden speech, man.
I love the fact that there's new science.
Holy fuck. That was the worst thing ever, man.
I would say also that I very much enjoyed the chapter you wrote about the serotonin.
Well, but dude, it exposed everyone. Exposed everyone who they are, who they really are. Not this game. This was a big mistake. Oh man, yeah. I mean, I think among intellectuals, it will be remembered. But I don't think people even understand the severity of what happened. Like, like dude, like this quote, man. This quote sums up. Like, I don't think this quote. This man wrote that quote in like 2023. I think they still think that. Like, it's insane. It's so insane. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. What does it even mean? That's the most insane quote I've ever read in my entire life. And knowing that I'm in that newly formed class of citizen that's being discriminated against, that's abuse. That's what that is. But it's also like that's what we're dealing with, man. And these boomers, man, these fucking boomers, most evil fucking generation that ever exists.
Much more correctness of just the concept of an alchemist. Not necessarily that I have explained it with any degree of perfection or my mindset was, okay, unlike when I wrote my first article in Egypt into Western medicine, there's no question in my mind.
I did notice that too, and you steer, even in your other books, your earlier books, you sort of steered away from society as
Right.
Dude, that quote blows my mind
Well,
every time I read it.
I think
It's just so insane.
to say that I don't use my imagination in my writing, I think Chapter 9 would put that to the right.
It's great.
Yeah, but but basically what I've always done, I've always tried to stay in my lane, and I've always
That's what I mean. Like they think they're right.
that I'm studying.
So crazy.
Trying to connect with people who are scientists. Okay? So I'm walking in the field of precision machine graphics design. Okay, what do you do? Trying to think, I need some inspiration. Let me know what I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing. So, maybe it's just a silly thing, but it does put me in a mental space where
Ah, come on.
respecting people that came forward. And I think that is the most important, is that, people have a tendency to go outside the Western theory of thought. But it's just not quite right to do.
Well, yes, I see that too. I try to.
Reminds me of when I was growing up. The joke there was a couple would come home from vacation in the country. How was your vacation? Oh, it was fine. It was fine. But too many bloody foreigners.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, I would encourage anybody that travels to just take a step back. It's not something where, respect the place you're in, the culture. You'll have a better time that way too.
Yeah, you know.
Just getting on board with the cultures there. They're usually cultures that don't make sense for you. They're good for a reason. I try to follow that same
Right,
same advice. Respect the place you're in and its history.
Right, I mean,
It's a criticism I've received is like, you're taking it by suggesting that there's a mixed culture or some or a civilization or something that's taken something away from the Egyptians. And no, it's in Egypt. It's still Egyptians. Like it's just it's everybody's. It's their ancestors. I think the timeline is a little off. It's not.
we
Nothing's taken away.
we're being disrespectful to earlier builders
By saying they didn't build it with sticks and
by
stones.
saying that they were more advanced than what we were giving them credit for.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing.
That's disrespectful.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Same thing in South America. Actually, I get the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you can.
Don't say they can't do it. Obviously they can. It's just a matter of where.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But when you any civilization, if they go through a huge cataclysm, and they're brought to their knees, all of their monuments are destroyed,
just sucks, man. This fucking level's just so shit. A little debate.
Yeah, I mean, the ups and downs, they're basically, different cultures are sort of rising and falling a little bit, but, due to political reasons or egotistic reasons,
Come on, man. Like, why? Why would they just throw this random ass boost in there? Like, come on.
It's been a relative spread, but in the process, there's been 13 grants in the water.
This is true.
I was going to talk, but anyway, this is a clarification of what I call the religion, and further understanding of how engaged with it question, and also the emphasis of transparency is at the core of it. And then, when you talk about why did it happen at this time, I get into that a little bit and talk about the fact that it doesn't have to bend at all, because if you look at it, from the top, you can see that it will miss that the bend out of the wall by about 30 feet above the rim. Right? So it doesn't need a bend. It could go straight in. Why is it up to the bend? Well, there may be two reasons, and maybe a combination of both. One would be that the walls are designed to be so thick.
Like, what? Like, what was he even doing there? Like, come on, man.
Too difficult to do it to put a rectangular passage next to it, shaft to it. The other one is that whenever you build something so powerful and complex like this, you also need to so I've always, this buck
Come on, man.
some other fellow,
God, this level really just sucks, eh?
the client. Yeah, I can see that. And and then there are other features on Cobra. And then I put in the whole microwave hole antenna, right? So that is
Beautiful fan that you can install, but it just doesn't work anymore.
yeah.
It's a piece of art.
That doesn't work now?
It doesn't run at all.
Oh yeah, very cool.
They should do something. I think they should just take it out of the way so you can
Take it out of the way.
see what's in there.
Well, maybe they will.
I'd love it if they would.
Right.
I mean, it was funny, the King's Chamber,
Yeah. Yeah, this was a, as it was noted in 2011, 2 years after we built the club, the sportsman from the city.
yeah, when they cleaned it, yes.
Yeah. It's an interesting story because there's all kinds of rules underneath the closed door that guy will ask to dig a hole for the bathroom and gain access to down to Brick's door.
Yeah. Well, they closed it again this year. I suspect. I'm looking forward to getting back there because I'm going to be looking at it. Any holes in the door that are going to
Yeah, right. So I kind of I thought that was kind of funny. The story behind it.
Yes. Well, even the King's Chamber has the ground is discoloured. I'm sure it makes sense too. But ventilation will come out of the King's Chamber, and as it comes out around the whatever they call it, the entryway, whatever they call it, the portcullis, whatever.
Oh, the antechamber?
The antechamber. So it comes as the granite turns around, it gets all discoloured in there, and then it changes colour around the corner. So it's as if there was
Yeah.
this discoloration effect coming from the King's Chamber. And it's also true that there's been an expansion.
Right. Patron has it in his stuff. Over the years. Yeah, there's something that's going on there. And then when you consider the other parts of the pyramid you don't see any of that kind of
Come on, what? Like this game.
Yes.
Like this fucking game.
So the test with the next one was basically burn holes through the suction stimulate electron flow.
Like this game, man.
Yeah, and then or even pulling someone outside. I can do. You may have contact test with them.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the Wooden Tower.
So
Exact surface waves. Are you familiar with that whole story?
the what?
Exact surface waves. So there's it's another technology, the theory of electromagnetic.
Come on, man.
Well, so there was, it's one of the theorized reasons behind what he was doing on the Wooden Cliff potentially. And there's a company in Texas that actually bought it. They've gone broke now because people get attached to everything we do today is based on electromagnetic. Gives off radiation. Concentric surface waves is
Come on, man. How did I get a side boost? Like, no.
So I got busy doing other things. 2017
Like, fuck you.
and then as I was, retired and enjoying Netflix, I went about all this activity. What's going on? I need to get involved. I need to get out there. I need to have a YouTube channel. I need to. I just thought. And so I ultimately, I investigated. Ultimately, I decided, hey, all these people are talking about and it's time to hand the reins over to the younger generation. Nobody likes to be well,
I know you
you
have
have
it.
the hip and with it, YouTube content creators, and there's so many of them. And I think it's great, the citizen reporting, citizen investigation, citizen science, if it's done properly, is enormously valuable.
It's a new media landscape nowadays, and that was the reason that I sort of decided I wanted to get into it, because I felt that there was no good, like there was a lot of the very interesting aspects of the work that had been done on these topics that I was interested in is typically buried in books. And I love reading, I read, not everybody does, and there's a huge portion of our population that isn't getting their information necessarily from books, so they're not pass an interesting topic and not willing to invest the 30 hours or whatever to read a book. And it's like this you've got the surface level stuff that comes out from sort of the major networks, and you don't have this fresh, it's not like an in-depth look at some of these topics on these sites, and you've got these books on real interesting ideas and new science that's happening in other places. So I was like, there's room here to combine these things, like to say, let's take a fresh look at the sites, collect footage and things like that, and then tease out and explore some of these ideas that are in books like yours and guys like Mark and everybody else that are exploring these things in depth. And that's kind of the role that I wanted to. That's where I started. That's what I was doing. Essentially recording this stuff as well. It just seems like a role that might be becoming.
Well, I mean, it's obviously there have always more people who don't well, who do. And, to say that everybody has to read the internet in order to access information, I think that's wrong. Most people are accessing YouTube, social media now. I think, there has to be good information shared that way that people can learn from. I mean, they're thirsty for information. They're not going to pick up your book. Some people might, you don't know. But the same people are not going to pick up your day. Their counterparts didn't pick up your book 30 years ago. Right? And they didn't have any of this information. So I prefer that they have at least a little bit of information about it than none at all.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube and social media, if used properly, is a huge benefit to society.
Fantastic.
It's not going away.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, no, definitely not going away. And I look at it as like look, you could be endlessly distracted with nonsense if that's what you want. Like,
Right.
and entertain yourself without ever learning a damn thing. But at the same time, if you want to learn it, and I use it like this all the time, if I need to learn how to do something or a skill or a topic, I mean, and there is a danger that you can be misinformed on some of those skills and topics, but in general, you will have a wealth of information that's at your fingertips to educate yourself or learn something, learn a skill. Like I do it, I mean, I live in a rural area, so I'm constantly like, how do I renovate a bathroom, this and that, whatever it is. Fantastic, and it's, I think it's just changed the fabric of our
Well, I think
world.
it's a
and
very
it's,
positive thing when you consider that, you know, the use of media generally, Hollywood, you know, had control of that, and that's how information was shared, and that's how people were entertained. And this generation, their bullshit detectors are so finely tuned now. They're like turning away from that stuff.
Big media, right?
Yeah, and looking for something more authentic.
I agree. I think that's what's happening. I mean, trust me, big media is trying to get involved, and they're doing their best to control some of this. But it's it's the wild west, right? In terms of information right now, I like the period of time we're in because I feel like we're in our technological infancy in a lot of ways. And
Right.
And
The only thing is that I think if I was, you know, if my career was in new media and a particular topic would be, okay, when is this wave gonna peak, and
right.
when am I gonna have to start, you know, looking at some other topics to discuss?
Yeah. I haven't. For me personally, on that topic, I don't. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other topic areas that I would love to get into at some point, but I'm not. By no means do I feel like this topic area is done yet. I mean, this is going to go on for a minute.
This will go for decades.
And I'm fascinated with it, and I only do it. I mean, at the end of the day, I make. There's a lot of traps if you're making and you're trying to exist in this world, and this is what a lot of people want to be doing. Like nowadays, you ask kids what they want to do. They want to be social media influencers, or they want to make YouTube videos and things like this. It's too bad. Like back in the day, they probably wanted to do what their fathers were doing before them, or they all want to be a celebrity or something now. But there's traps. It's a tough game. And I think if you get into it for the wrong reasons, or if you try to pander to an audience too much. I mean, I try to definitely just like I'm making it ultimately to make myself happy, and I can do something where I'm basically satisfied with what I'm saying.
That is a very good point, because I've noticed that there are some of these YouTube channel owners who will cater to the taste of their
That's
viewers.
right. Yeah.
And I think that's a huge mistake.
I do too.
I think it's a huge mistake.
Yeah, I make them to be satisfied with myself with them, and I'm also extremely, I think, privileged, and I'm grateful that other people seem to like it too.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
And some of them hit better than others, but that's fine. I mean, some of my favourite videos that I've done don't have the most views out of the ones that I've got, or whatever that means. I don't know. But yeah, it's a weird existence, but it's a fun spot to be, and I think it gives a lot of people a lot of opportunity to learn stuff about it.
You've got to have a certain strength of intestinal fortitude.
Well, you're over the target.
You got
say.
thick skin.
You're meeting resistance, you know you're over the target.
I'm not that thick skin.
Yeah.
I put on an appearance of being so.
Yeah.
Some of this bullshit really affects me.
Yes, unfortunately, I understand. I certainly paid a lot more attention to it back in the day. I've been received plenty of it myself, and it's just you can't. I genuinely go, and this is something I heard Joe Rogan say too, and I couldn't imagine the amount of bullshit guys like him at that level of celebrity might endure. look, you can't really read the bad, you can't really read the good. Like, you just pretty much got to ignore it and stay and do your thing and be happy with it yourself. And people are going to react one way or the other. And I mean, to some extent, at least in this YouTube world, it's like getting a reaction is kind of better than not getting a reaction, even if it's a bad one. So, yeah, I just look, I don't pay much attention to it, to be honest. Good or bad. Try to keep and just stay.
You better just stay the course and be like the camel, let the apple judge fall on the wayside.
That's right. Yeah, but I personally, I think your contribution to this is phenomenal. Like, you are the guy that moved this along on the heels of Petrie a long way. I think lost technologies and the Giza power plant theory, I think, will be treated with and given the respect they deserve ultimately, because I think we're on that path now where that theory and the concepts that you're proposing, and you did sort of primary research on a lot of these areas, I think it's going to prove out over time, and become indisputable, and then these will be recognised. I think this work will be recognised for the path. I mean, you started that whole thing for a lot of people, so yeah, I'm super grateful for the work that you've done, and for taking the time to speak with me, because I consider you a friend now, and it's like I've been privileged enough to get to know you and meet you. And,
I think it's. I mean, it's always a very positive thing when people can get together in person and discuss a matter, which is why I like the format of the YouTube with other, podcasters who will do contact interviews. Like Joe Rogan or like Daniel Jones.
Danny?
Yeah.
He does a great job, yep.
Yeah,
I need a studio, damn it.
Yeah, you need a studio.
Well, I have one just for me, but I need to start bringing people.
But then you're going to have to start spending a little money to fly people.
Well, yeah, look, I'm not a podcaster though either. Like, I do these occasionally. I make content.
You're a researcher,
Well.
Oh, speaking of that, your guide in Egypt is, let's give a shout out to
Yusuf Aywan.
Yusuf Arian,
He's the man.
He's a great guy.
He's excellent, yes. I'm going to be seeing Yusuf in about a month here, so I talk to him frequently. Like, me and Yusuf are very close. So.
Yeah, tell him I said hi.
I will, absolutely. You get mentioned by him every time we're in Egypt. We talk about the time he stood there with you, and this is what you said about it. And he uses you a lot on our tours. So.
Yeah, he's a good guy. For sure.
He is. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Got a good heart.
He is. He's one of the most generous people I've ever met. He genuinely is. So, he loves his country, and he's a good dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people in Egypt. And, the Arian family, they're great. I have a relationship with them since 1999. All very good people. Shahzad came to visit me in the hospital when I went down in Egypt in 2007.
Oh.
They're always very hospitable.
Yep. I love those guys, all of them. So. Yeah. All right. Tristan, thank you very much.
Well, no, pleasure's all mine. Awesome. You're all right for the Nazi.
No, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Let's look up China's ancient megaliths. China has some insane ancient megaliths.
There are many ancient sites which, upon exploration, create an air of doubt surrounding the academic explanation as to their origins, raising logical questions within the minds of the astute. With Iran being a place littered with such structures, one of the most famous of which, known as Persepolis, found upon the banks of the river Polvar, this plateau of mythical carvings simply baffle the modern man. According to permitted academic study, Persepolis dates back a mere 2,500 years. I say mere due to several reasons. First, the lack of ability of those who were living at this particular time, the advanced techniques used within the creation of the site, and the laser-like stone-cut precision, demonstrating techniques utilized by a civilization far more technologically capable than those currently claimed as having been responsible. Thus, I must conclude they predate the academically claimed culprits and are, in fact, the work of a lost civilization. The site possesses claimed Achaemenid styles of architecture, although we feel these claims are a misconception and are, in reality, the work of someone else. Declared a World Heritage Site in 1979, the ancient Persians claimed it as their own city, naming it Persa, which means Old Persian. However, it seems, like so many other inexplicable sites found around the world, it was simply re-inhabited. Yet unlike these many other sites, inscriptions found upon buried treasure at the site actually possesses an inscription left by one of the oldest rulers of the Persians, openly admitting this re-inhabitation as a reality. Treasure found still successfully concealed at the site, a sign of the people's loyalty to their king, not discovered until modern times, presumably protected by them and its secret location until their death at the hand of Alexander the Great's invaders. Solid gold and silver tablets preserving the king's account of the site's origin. Quote, Darius, the great king, king of kings, king of countries, son of Hytaspes, this is the kingdom which I hold, from the Sachi, which is beyond Logdia, to Kush, from Sind to the Indus Valley of Lydia, and the oldest of Persia, Sparta. This bestowed upon me by Ahura Mazda, the greatest of gods. May Ahura Mazda protect me and my
Hunter
royal
Hearst
house.
Helmsley?
An inscription I perceive as an explanation that the ruler himself, due to the site's incredible nature, believed it had been built by the gods and, by divine right, had been bestowed upon him. Archaeological evidence accumulated by the French archaeologist
Yeah,
André
dude.
Godin,
Iranian
excavated
megaliths are
Persepolis
crazy
in the
too,
early
man.
1930s, believed
All
it
over
was
the world.
Cyrus the Great who chose the site Persepolis was built upon, and that Darius I built the terrace and the palaces. These conclusions, I assert, were due to Darius and Cyrus reutilizing such structures as their places of burial. This, due to their divine perceptions, explained upon these once hidden treasures. However,
not
these
it.
rulers, dated well within permitted archaeological timelines for man, are accompanied by the countless archaeological artifacts predictably left over by these cultures who never experienced cataclysm, thus remain perfectly preserved, excavated, and flaunted to the many inquisitive people who visit these museums each year. However, the contradictory inscriptions still reveal very little regarding
Wow, that was
origins
a
of the
really good
ruins in which
boost.
they were found within. Ruins which are simply unexplainable.
Okay, it wasn't that good a boost.
When one visits the site, they are initially confronted with gigantic megalithic stones, not only within its foundations, creating the platform used as a stronghold for many years, but also somehow set aloft, forming still existing trilithons, which, regardless of the demolition efforts undertaken by Alexander, still litter the site. A 125,000 square meter terrace, artificially constructed, partly cut straight out of Ramat Mountain. An additional factor which supports my argument of a highly advanced builder are the Lamasu. These mythical animals, reminiscent of centaurs, are many tons in weight, and in a previous video, we showed the tremendous challenge a mere 150 years ago transporting such megaliths was. Not to mention the tremendous artistic achievements these stone carvings would have been, along with countless other intricate, masterfully carved artworks throughout the site, which mystify all who gaze upon them. Furthermore, and perhaps most interesting, are the far more primitive-looking versions. Some argue were incomplete. Others argue were attempts by future primitive cultures. These attempts, although in some areas share tool markings reminiscent of patterns like those of the stone-cutting technologies we have recently been studying in depth, may just be mere coincidences due to the random hacking that seems to have been undertaken upon the stones. Due to the positioning of the Persepolis Plateau, it was logically not constructed as a military stronghold, but rather a temple devoted to something else. A build surrounding this
What
ancient
happened was
civilization's belief systems, or possible observations
they
of many alignments in relation to
said
processions
that they would
only
change
just
the
come to
delivery
light.
date.
Due to its location, far
So
away from any strategical placement,
I think
found within a remote
they
and
changed
mountainous
the
region,
delivery date
although it was an
before
inconvenient residence
they
for the
delivered it.
ruler of the empire.
It wasn't like an after. It wasn't like it was late. It was like they announced it was going to be late, later than what they had promised. So a little different. Not really different, but you know what I mean. Yours is more legit.
Of developing Persian culture, the country's true capitals were Susa, Babylon, and Ecbatana, with the Greeks completely unaware of its existence throughout their own reign, only plundered by Alexander the Great's eventual far-reaching invasion. It is a site full of compelling features, most of which in direct contradiction to that which is claimed by modern academia, and indeed their institutional cohorts, Iran's museums. It is a site we find highly compelling. In our last video, we covered the enormous artificially created platform known as Persepolis.
What's the point of Prime? Yeah. Next day now it's indefinite. Yeah. Oh, well, they might have also just scammed you. I've had some scams where I bought some stuff and it like never came.
The description of it having been an offering by the gods given to the previous Persian king.
They would refund you, obviously.
Academic assertions. It is a surviving relic of a civilization far older than they would ever admit to. Found upon several gold and silver tablets found buried within the site, inscribed with a message left by these more modern inhabitants, thanking the gods for the creation of said site, concluded by many ancient civilizations all over the world, who, due to the rigidity of the protected paradigms regarding the chronological timeline of man, are claimed as the builders of said sites, regardless of whether these same institutions' archaeological endeavors prove them incapable. Sites that these so-called builders must have been perceived as only ever being able to have been built by the gods themselves. For even to this day, they remain astonishingly ancient achievements, undoubtedly the work of a highly advanced, technologically innovative lost civilization. Naqsh-e-Rustam, for example, an ancient necropolis located about 12 kilometers northwest of Persepolis,
Oh, I doubt that.
is in a set of rock-cut structures
Maybe,
from the
maybe.
mountainside
Maybe
with
they do.
such precision. They are simply unexplainable as the work of any ancient civilization academia has permitted the study of. Clearly made by the same civilization that once
They have a shortage of
created
doctors.
Persepolis. As within this area, there are countless enigmatic and astonishingly precise stone structures, some created using enormous megalithic blocks, while others carved directly out of solid stone. My own recent research, which has differentiated two ancient civilizations, the Cyclopean and the polygonal civilizations, is solely based on the separation of their technological prowess. Differentiations and similarities with the Cyclopeans,
Were you thinking of doing it?
not displaying the same capability of building walls as that
Canada
of the
Post would be
polygons,
much better than
still linked to astonishing
UPS, I
builds,
think.
such as Petra, These astounding structures also carved straight from bedrock, extremely similar to many of the rock-cut structures found throughout Iran. However, Persepolis possesses some techniques that, although no one has
They
seemingly
go on
looked at
unemployment
closely,
insurance.
is a strange, unique method of linking the stones of some of these structures together. Not only an enigmatic structure,
They have to work, what,
predictably
900
believed as the
hours or
tomb of
something?
Cyrus, but they are also present within the impressive yet seemingly demolished fortress, possibly destroyed during an invasion which can be found nearby. Known as the Fortress of Pasargadae, this building is not only constructed using Cyclopean signature blocks,
I'm praying for you, man.
but it seems the same clamping techniques was used within its construction. Intriguingly, however, although these mysterious clamping features are still within the tomb of Cyrus, they are all seemingly missing from the fortress in Pasargadae. The questions these anomalies raise are many in number, yet unlike academia, we do not claim to know the answers. We are merely in pursuit of them, slowly compiled from our gathering of the inexplicable sites worldwide. Eventually, we hope to decipher not only why they were placed there, who built such structures, but indeed how. Naqsh-e-Rustam is not the only rock-cut structure of astonishing precision found within Iran. Many other precision-cut artifacts can be found littering the area. Mada-in Salah, for example, being a series of structures also claimed as tombs, created from single enormous rocks. To claim such work as that of primitive tool-wielding ancestors, I find absurd. Yet the more I look into these sites, the more confusing and thus enigmatic they become. Not only does academia claim that the plateau of Persepolis was completed, which is clearly not only an obvious misconception, but also the unfinished sections seem to have been attempted to have been finished with primitive tools. But certain places within the area possess the stonework of the Cyclopean civilization, yet with unique clamping techniques found only in Iran, with additional structures which are located near the rock-cut structures of Naqsh-e-Rustam, seemingly having been cut and built with blocks of a deliberately opposite type of cutting style. Several alternative scholars who have explored the site have hypothesized that many areas were attempted to have been renovated and reconstructed by a later civilization. And although we know that many of the surviving columns, toppled during Alexander the Great's invasion, were indeed re-erected, the enigmatic chisel marks found throughout the site, and also the Cyclopean style blocks found within the fortress on the hill, to us seems to indicate that whoever attempted these finishing works were far less capable than those who originally created the ancient ruins found throughout Iran.
Hey, man.
Furthermore,
They've survived
evidential
thousands
features
of
found
years.
within the area of Persepolis.
I think they'll
One such
survive
feature,
another
known as the
attack.
Great Staircase, is seemingly the most highly advanced precision work of the Cyclopeans. This pinnacle in architectural design,
But I know what you mean.
indicating the nearing of the end of their legacy upon our planet. Did they merely rediscover these incredible rock-cut structures? Were they the builders of such? For regardless of the fact that I have indeed linked their work to the
Look at this thing.
astonishing
This thing is
feats of
crazy,
Petra,
dude.
the similarly astonishing rock-cut temples of India and also Myra, which we have confirmed through the identification of the stonework and tool marks as having indeed been the work of the Cyclopeans. Were these ancient sites their final creations, left unfinished due to their demise? If so, the question remains, why do so many structures contain enigmatic techniques of clamping found nowhere else on Earth? And why are these structures near Naqsh-e-Rustam seemingly built in direct opposite methods to their signature cut stones, reliefs instead? Were they the work of the same civilization, or possibly a third, as yet undiscovered group, who clearly accomplished an astounding degree of skill in stone
Oh, boy.
carving themselves? We find ancient Iran not only perplexing, but incredibly compelling. Who built the Balevi Mausoleum? There are many as yet unexplained ruins which can be found within modern-day Turkey. The temples of Baalbek, the Patera pipelines, among many others. Yet the Bolevi Mausoleum, like the other most astonishing ancient structures to be found here upon our Earth, are quietly overlooked. It is a monumental ancient structure located near Selçuk in the Aegean province of Izmir. It is the second largest ancient mausoleum in Anatolia, which, predictably, academia contends as a tomb dated from the Hellenistic era around the 3rd century BC. However, like many other of the wondrous ancient structures to be found within antiquity, it contains astonishing, precise, as yet unexplained architecture, indicative of a lost knowledge, thus lost civilization. The Bolevi Mausoleum has seemingly survived the eons, still possessing an array of compelling features which fly in the face of current academic explanation. How did an ancient civilization, even if, as academia claims, was placed a mere 2,000 years ago, accomplish such precision within the stonework, or indeed accomplish such precision in the placement of such enormous ancient stones? It is known as a tomb because, like many of the other structures that were clearly of an astonishing nature at earlier times within history, were undoubtedly chosen by leading individuals as their place of burial. With the ruler of the Seleucid dynasty, Antiochus II Theos, his nickname, meaning God, was given to him by the residents of Miletus. Antiochus II died in 246 BC. This body, and indeed his rather modern legacy, has allowed academia to claim a date to the construction. However, the advanced precision techniques involved in its original build are, fortunately, still clear for all to see. Indeed, the Bolevi Mausoleum could have once been the burial site of an important person. Yet we feel that this original individual dates from a time far before anything academia would ever permit the admittance of. The chamber, or sarcophagus of the mausoleum, precisely carved from solid rock, had a square plan with a length of 29 meters and a height of 10 meters. From the outside, the rock obscuring the mausoleum was covered with marble slabs. The marble was traced to a quarry in the vicinity of Ephesus. Yet, to complete the decorations of the mausoleum, up to 2,500 cubic meters of marble had to have once been excavated. There was also once a second level, surrounded by 28 columns, although over the eons, this has virtually turned to dust. When completed, it would have formed a steep pyramid with a statue crowning its top. Who built the Bolevi Mausoleum? Was it once an elaborate ancient tomb? If so, who was buried there? It is undoubtedly highly compelling.
Tokyo's Imperial Palace, home of the Japanese Emperor, and a place which holds many secrets. Some, it seems, hidden in plain sight for countless centuries. For many years, people have visited this marvelous building, and the perfectly cut grounds it is placed within. What is interesting regarding its historical history is the fact that much of it is hidden and yet to be told. The oldest historical accounts for the palace date back to 1457 AD, when a great warrior known as Ito Shigetsugu built the castle Ito on the site. Ito's clan would perish in the 15th century as a result of uprisings in the Kanto and Ota-Dokan regions of Japan. However, what is interesting regarding the palace's construction is its foundations. Including the exterior wall, which many now believe was already in existence before the castle's construction, and also the reason the site was chosen all those years ago by the warrior Ito himself. The construction techniques visible in the original construction are clearly evidence of highly advanced building techniques, completed by a clearly highly advanced civilization. And these methods used within the foundations were not replicated throughout the more recent structure, as if forgotten between builds. Additionally, a piece of artifactual evidence was recently covered. A highly compelling building technique, which unquestionably links many ancient sites to one another, found all over the world, showing an intercontinental sharing of building knowledge many millennia ago. Known as the missing metal clamps, Their carved seats, still present upon many of the most ancient stonework at the palace, eroded away metal clamps used to keep the stones firmly in place as they settled over the following years after construction. Present at
Come
countless
on,
sites
man.
across the world, a technique somehow shared worldwide, only differing from country to country in their process of manufacture. The evidence to suggest that the Palace of Japan is in fact built upon a far older and possibly once far more spectacular structure seems overwhelming. Yet questions remain, most obvious of which, who built the structure to begin with? When did they build it? And what was its purpose? Thankfully, the more we understand regarding the perplexing techniques used by this elusive, yet clearly once highly advanced civilization, the more of these ruins we are seemingly spotting, allowing for their study and subsequent preservation before lost forever. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
Bosda Cave, within modern-day Turkey, is unquestionably an astonishing place. An enormous cave system that many people simply assume is a natural formation, with select areas quarried out, subsequently used to build numerous ruins throughout the area. However, what many people have seemingly overlooked, and we presume funded academics have deliberately ignored, are the signatures left all over the stonework throughout the network of caverns, strongly indicating that this
That was
huge
such fucking
complex
bullshit.
was once somehow hewn by ancient man. Also, and perhaps most intriguingly, is that this task was completed using a number of different advanced tools, whose marking, thanks to ours and others' astute research, has also been found scarred upon many other ancient sites, some located far away from this enigmatic cave system. The stone, once quarried out to create this enormous cavern, subsequently located as having been used to create a number of remarkable precision-cut monuments, including a once existing wall which surrounded an ancient site known as Hiram. Additionally, due to the realization of this quarried stone having been used in Hiram, in addition to our own previous research, we have successfully linked Bosda to yet more ancient ruins, all dated to vastly different eras within history. Thanks to our channel's creator possessing a photographic memory, we have correlated undeniable characteristic similarities, connecting many of these ancient sites throughout the world. Firstly, the signatures left by advanced stone-cutting technologies, tool marks left upon the cave system's walls, scars upon the stonework, which are present at many other sites, Baalbek in Lebanon, Petra in Jordan, Yangshan Quarry within China, and at least 2 rock-cut monuments within India, the roof of a precision-cut cave,
I have an S20 FE, I think.
known as Veduvan Coil. This crescent-shaped scarring, often of an overlapping fashion,
In Miami, yeah.
is reminiscent of scars left by modern-day.
Oh, you mean in the water?
Due to the lack of in-depth research surrounding such anomalies, with these tool marks, as far as we are aware, only receiving
Is that the
limited
Google
attention
one?
at Baalbek and merely photographed at Yangshan, have begun to name such markings ourselves in an effort to categorize and identify such curiosities being discovered worldwide, with these now known to us as crescent cup and ring marks.
Just so fucking dumb. Like this fucking game.
The second form of scarring, found upon much of the cave's roof, now known to us as groove and ridge markings, are distinctly different in form and appearance to the crescent cup and ring marks. These rows of grooved scars, however, are identical to those found in plain sight upon the unfinished obelisk located within Aswan Quarry, Egypt. A stone monument well over 1,000 tons in weight, which has long been academically argued as having been abandoned where it lay, due to a fault line discovered during the quarrying process. However, interestingly, Others have presented strong evidence that this crack appeared later within history. A fellow alternative researcher, Chris Dunn, argues within his book, Advanced Technology in Ancient Egypt, that the crack happened later on in the obelisk's life, and that the monolith was abandoned before the fault appeared. Backing up his claim, he shows that details upon the monument were being engraved over the top of the location of the fault line, an undertaking that would have clearly been illogical. Although he does not put forward a postulation as to why this crack occurred, we believe it may have been due to a shift in the surrounding geography, more than likely a ground-shifting earthquake, not only cracking the obelisk, but possibly due to and accompanied by a cataclysmic event, which quite possibly caused the demise of the civilization, who were liberating the obelisk, thus leaving it unfinished. But I digress. Our focus is upon the scars left by enigmatic, clearly advanced stone-cutting tools, preserved with clarity upon the erosion-resistant granite of the obelisk. These exact markings also undeniably litter the ceiling of the Bosda cave. Additionally, these groove and ridge marks are also found upon the megalithic, often polygonal stonework within Peru, at Cusco, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman, and Machu Picchu, to name but a few. The third set of signature scarring upon the cave stone walls links Bosda Cave to another, similarly gigantic, artificially created
What a
cave
fucking
system,
stupid game.
known as Longyu Caves, located within China. Once an undoubtedly immense excavation, yet the quarried stone from this undertaking has never been located. Millions of tons of stone seemingly vanished from the face of the earth. However, thankfully, the quarried stone from the Bosda cave systems, as mentioned, was utilized and located. However, the civilization responsible for shaping these quarried stones at Haran were unquestionably responsible for several other sites
That's
found
wild,
around
dude.
the world. YouTube channel
That
New
is
Earth
wild.
first linking these curiously shaped stones to Nimrod's fortress on Mount Hermon with Jerash in Jordan, with us continuing this trail of connecting ancient gods, thankfully due to the uniqueness of stonework.
Let's go back in our fortress with this historic city in Jordan, which according to mainstream sources was conquered by the Romans and rebuilt. Their typical Roman architecture consisted of columns and so on the top of the older ruins. So here they are assuring us that the Nimrod-style large blocks are pre-Roman. Now those very same blocks,
Oh, no way,
when
that
they are
sucks.
in Baalbek, they are telling us it's Roman. In the Temple
Dang.
Mount, they are again assuring us that they are some 2,000 years old. In Bosnia, they are telling us that they are whatever, 3 or more thousand years old, and of course
That's
they
scary.
are built by some obscure, unknown tribe, of which even the name they
Did your bag of rice it?
To link the royal kurgan
Oh, wow,
in
insane.
Crimea to New Earth's discoveries, and now to the ancient ruins of Haran in Turkey. Not only can we argue that this cave system was indeed
You
man-made,
did nice.
but is the only site we know of that possesses such an array of these enigmatic stone-cutting technology scars,
Like, come
allowing
on,
us
man.
to successfully link it to at least 15 ancient sites around the world. The cave itself, Basran, Haran, Baalbek, Petra, Jerash, Yangshan, Longyu, Vetivan Koil, Malmala Param, Cusco, Sacsayhuaman, and Machu Picchu, Nimrod's fortress, and the royal kurgan. Possibly many others we are yet to recognize. In conclusion, the vast array of different, as yet unidentified, advanced stone-cutting equipment scars present within the cave, each leaving its own unique signature upon
Nice.
the stone. The shaping of these stones, unique to an unknown civilization's signature handiwork, found worldwide, used within an array of as yet unexplained ruins, academically claimed to be of vastly different ages, and the work of vastly different cultures. We find it not only clear evidence of academic fallacy, but incredibly compelling.
Like what?
Many civilizations have been and gone here upon our planet. Countless artifacts and historical studies can and have been undertaken into their existence. We are able to decipher their daily lives, their religious beliefs and practices, even their languages. However, in doing so, we have never been able to decode any knowledge or explanation for the countless seemingly impossible ancient feats, lost abilities of stonemasonry. No documentation found within any hieroglyph, literature, parchment, or other ancient text. Yet pyramids, polygonal masonry, multi-thousand-ton megaliths, along with countless other curious, clear signatures of a lost civilization's work exists. And due to this mystery regarding how these sites were created, we have to presume that those who constructed them were placed at a far earlier time within history, when it was prior to a global flood, possibly the aftermath of a near extinction level event, manifesting as a form of global amnesia and severing connections between continents, possibly for 10,000 years. Segesto within Sicily not only looks the same age as that of the foundation walls of Baalbek, and indeed the gargantuan megaliths found within the Trilithon,
This game.
but the enormous temple is still standing along with its amphitheater, which, if we look to the still surviving polygonal stage flooring present at the theater within Delphi, a site we have covered in the past, one which is also littered with polygonal walls, we find more support for the theory that these amphitheaters, with their incredible acoustics, are also remnants left by this same lost civilization. Yet we feel the smoking gun are the protuberances which are still visible within its foundation blocks. It is of no surprise to us that its origins are hotly contested, with many academic teams concluding that it was merely the work of traveling Trojans.
See, if I had a boost to the door, that would have been 16.
That were so perfectly laid,
Like if I unpaused and I was at the door opening, that would have been 16.
That protuberances are found on polygonal masonry all around the world, and that modern stonemasons are now exploring interlocking blocks, with some such as large Lego blocks already in mass production. It is no surprise that while many claim it to be Greek, others claim it not. This will not cease anytime soon. Many religious beliefs have gained traction in regard to its original purpose. Thus, conveniently, there is little chance that this contention will move forward. Who built the ruins of Segesta? When did they build them? We find the possibilities highly compelling. Ancient Uparts are undoubtedly one of the most interesting subjects in regard to lost antiquities. Many of these artifacts, due to the locations in which they are found within, or the immense age displayed within the erosion seen upon the object, makes them one of the most controversial areas of study. How can one answer the question of how an iron pod is found within a solid lump of coal within a seam over 300 million years in age? Or how the clear imprint of a chariot wheel is found fossilized deep within a mine in Russia? These artifacts, found at hundreds of feet deep in sediment, or displaying a wooden handle petrified into coal, display an undeniably immense age, and as such, are solid pieces of evidence to support our posit of there having been a series of now lost civilizations stretching far into the past. Nature is infamous in being cyclical. Why then would we not be permitted by mainstream academia to presume this be the case for the climates of the Earth as well? Regardless of this digression, however, the subject of tonight's video is an incredible artifact which we believe to be that of an ancient upar. However, due to its incredible characteristic, is being masqueraded as that of a much later creation by a far more recent ancestor. Known as the Sword of Gyges, this intriguing artifact has somehow resisted the effects of time, and although it is enormously old, is seemingly as sharp and as shiny today as the day it was made. This remarkable characteristic, although unexplained, is not the only interesting thing about the sword. It also features an incredibly old form of writing. 8 characters are written in an ancient script, now known as
Oh, come
bird
on. They
seal
didn't give me the
script,
door.
literally
That's
birds
such
and
fucking
worms
bullshit.
characters. Owing to the intricate decorations of the
No
defining
boost.
strokes, it is very old and is
Come on.
attested to be a variant of seal script. In 1965, while an archaeological survey was being performed along the second main aqueduct of the Jiang River Reservoir in Jingzhou, Hubei, a series of ancient tombs were discovered. A dig started in the middle of October 1965, ending in January 1966, eventually revealing more than 50 ancient tombs. More than 2,000 artifacts were recovered from the sites, including the sword, having been found inside a casket together with a human skeleton. The casket was discovered in the December of 1965 at the Wangshan Site number 1, 7 kilometers from the ruins of Ying, currently called Jinnishang, once the ancient capital of Chu. The sword was found sheathed in a wooden scabbard, finished in black lacquer. The scabbard had an almost airtight fit with the sword body. Unsheathing the sword revealed an untarnished blade, despite the tomb being soaked in underground water for over 2,000 years. How did this sword retain its incredible condition? Why does it seem as if it is resistant to aging? What sort of metallurgy did the swordsmith once use to create such an amazing object? It is clearly an ancient upar, and one we postulate has an origin now hidden within the bowels of history. It is a remarkable
What's this
fact,
fucking
and
game?
as such, is highly compelling. In our previous video, we presented a hypothesis, a theory believed by many, one of a now lost or possibly hidden race of ancient giants. Surprisingly, however, recently, although China is seen as an infamously secretive country, with many tombs and ancient pyramids of gargantuan proportions rarely aerial photographed, let alone explored, it seems that they have, at last, stolen the archaeological world stage with the announcement of a discovery which we may relish, but those whom these remains rest just beyond the clutches of, we would presume rather get a hold of themselves to study and then store away in hidden archives, far from public view, an ongoing effort we have personally read of, dating back to the early 1900s. An ancient graveyard, complete with over 500 giant human remains, has not only been accidentally discovered, but publicly exhumed, and most crucial of all, photographed for all
Like
the
what?
world to see within China. Could this be a retaliatory move with other motives at play? If our previously mentioned theory is true, it would enable man to explain the inexplicably, seemingly impossible size of many of the world's megaliths, and indeed still standing megalithic structures of the world. How pyramidal, treasure,
Wait, what the
and
fuck?
many other ancient architectures, lintels, and top stones, often weighing many hundreds of tons, were not only transported from quarries many hundreds of miles, but placed aloft many meters with seeming ease. Furthermore, we have in the past not only postulated and have also presented reams of
Oh,
witness
fuck you.
testimony and photographic corroboration, still to be found in newspaper archives across the Western world, describing these finds, but also the Smithsonian's efficiency in not only dealing with the matter, but disappearance of any further reporting, thus exploration. This also supporting the reason for lost pieces of the puzzle, which is inhibiting us from unlocking the secrets to these sites' construction. Perhaps we may never know the true motivations for such a controversial exposure in China. But nonetheless, the resulting fallout of proof presented for our community is a step closer to the truth, the untangling of a tired and tangled web of lies in which many have lived. For at the bottom of Pandora's box, there is always hope.
Like what? Come on, man.
Phoenix Hill, Xianbeiqiu, China. In 1994, an extremely mysterious discovery would be made. Considered by the Chinese as the 9th ancient wonder of the world, a series of 24 ancient, artificial caves were discovered. Specialists have been quietly astounded by them. And the more we learn, the more of a spectacular and mysterious achievement they are seen to be. The first thing that struck explorers were their size. Each cave has a minimum floor space of 1,000 square feet, an unimaginable undertaking at the time they were thought to have been constructed. Officially dated prior to the dynasties of China, which began 3,000 years ago, meaning they are very, very old. The walls of the caves are scarred with strange uniform tool marks. The weird thing about the markings is that they are all set on a 60-degree angle. Every single chisel mark within the cave system, without exception, is on an exact 60-degree cutting angle. This has led many to suspect that the caves must have somehow been dug using advanced machinery. However, because this feature is unique within our current knowledge of ancient structures, the angle cutting could indeed have been made by hand with the purpose of decoration, but this would have made the job of cutting them out even more laborious. Additionally, once the caves had been assessed and explored, a remarkable thing was realized. Although the caves were the result of excavating thousands and thousands of tons of rock, this rock seems to have vanished from existence. There is no trace of a spoil pile anywhere to be seen. It is as if the caves have always been there. No traces of their construction has ever been found anywhere. No cave writings, drawings, tools, or human remains, and nothing within historical records. The cave's construction simply doesn't make sense, and any evidence for their construction doesn't exist. Add to this the fact that the cave systems predate Chinese civilization by some time and show evidence of being cut out by machine. And the Longyu caves undoubtedly become a curiosity for scientific explanation and historical understanding, to say the least. These remarkable caves are a very strong and solid piece of evidence to suggest that advanced cultures have already been and gone on this planet, or that visitors of extraterrestrial origin visited the planet prior to human development. As far as I am aware, these are the only two possible scenarios for the builders of such a construction. The cave systems are well over 3,000 years old and still intact. Whoever was capable of constructing was also capable of disposing of the huge mountains of rock that would have been excavated without leaving any evidence of how they did this, or indeed built the caves anyway. The caves are known as one of the largest underground complexes ever discovered. The fact that more is not heard about this wonderful place is testament to their extraordinary existence, meaning no one within the scientific community can or want to try to explain. Also, which I found highly interesting, when they were discovered they were completely filled with water. Whether this was once salt water has not been disclosed, but I have personal suspicions as to how this water came to rest within these underground caverns. No fish were found within the caves, which many found odd. However, if you suspected that the waters be residual leftovers from a great flood, water from the great seas of Earth, then over time, salt levels would plummet and fish accustomed to sea water would have died. Who do you think built the long new caves? The cave's existence hints towards a hidden history here on our planet, a history that we must unravel if we are ever to fully understand ourselves, and I hope.
Come on, man. Yeah, honestly, probably. No, not the roids, but yeah, now it's holding up my towel, the bike. You mean cycling with roids, you mean? Yeah, right. Like what? No, like this game, man. Like it's just so fucking dumb. I want one more run. One more. Like what? Like what? It's not it. This is my last run of the night, I think. I don't know, man. Come on. Like... Yo, fuck this game. I definitely pushed B on that door. I'm addicted to the Switch. It's just, it would be an untied sleigh, right? Because one person has 16, and it looks like it's a little easier to get 17 than on 64. So it looks like 16 is possible. I'm gonna do like one more run though, bro. One more. Like, come on, man. Like, what? Okay, this is the last run. This is not 16, but it's the last run.
Yeah, so then I got essay